What is good, family? This is your girl. I am Courtney Michelle, and thank you so much for joining me this evening. I am so glad that you guys have decided to pop in. I see you, Al B. I see you, Red Lipstick Vibes. Hi, beautiful. What is going on, Dr. Thunder? Thank you, everyone, for joining me. TJ Randolph. See you, Darling Smith. All right, we got a full house coming in. Make sure you guys please like the stream. I never say that. I get so focused on what I want to say, but if you guys could, that would be awesome. All right. I first let's I want to talk about a lot this evening, and I do have a special guest. You guys saw on the thumbnail, we're going to have Alan join us soon. But I want to have this conversation to close the door on the Pearly Gate that a lot of people have deemed it. Black YouTube has been wild these past couple of weeks with so many content creators giving their ideas and thoughts and breaking down everything. And I have too been one of those content creators that decided to speak on something that I thought was very, very problematic. However, I think the issue goes far beyond one content creator, one just Pearly things. It goes and it shows a lot. And I kind of want to put that out as far as what it's shown me and close it for now. What's going on, Hawk? I see you. What is going on? What's going on? Let me get my stuff together, you guys, and pull up some things here. And we're going to get right into it. I've always deemed myself as being B1. B1 pretty much for me is putting my community, my culture before my gender. Before anything else, for me, a betterment of our community of Black folks has always been my goal. And I say B1 first, and I've said this before. I've even told my daughter this, that before I knew you was going to be a boy or a girl, I knew you was going to be Black. And our issues stem so deep, so much history, so much that I owe a lot to. In this conversation, though, it's kind of sparked my interest on diving into other ideas. One of the ideas that I want to eventually talk about and dissect is Black women and femininity. A lot of times in this space, we get compared to, as far as with Black women, we get compared to our white counterparts, our Spanish counterparts. We get compared to a lot of different women as far as different cultures, but our culture is a little different. As far as being Black in America, our story is different from a lot of people. And so someone always comparing me to a white woman, a Lebanese woman, never set right with me because we're different. And I think femininity, as far as in women and Black women, is something to be examined. And this is something that I wanted to do. And this kind of sparked my interest with this whole Pearly Gates, the history of Black women and our role and what femininity looks like us and being a woman and being proud. What does that look like? You guys remember, of course, that good old movie, The Woman King. Me, I was critical of The Woman King. I know that it is about a true story about the Dahomey tribe, and there were women warriors, but I was always critical of the movie because I don't think it told and it didn't tell the complete story. Yes, there were women warriors, but the story left out the men. The story left out that there were men in the Dahomey tribe that fought for their tribe, but they got dismissed in the movie. There was a creation of an all-female military regime, but it became necessary due to the high number of casualties the kingdom was suffering in conflicts with neighboring West African states. Meaning that the Dahomey tribe, the women, they had to fight because the men were dying out. It wasn't that women just decided, I'm going to fight. It was a reason why. Our men were dying, and women had to pick up with the fight because they cared and they loved their tribe, the Dahomey tribe. Historically, Black women have always done this. We have always tried, and I think if you look at the civil rights movement and if you look at us fighting and abolitionists, that Black women did have a role in the betterment of our community. And for me, that has always been my idea of me being a very proud Black woman, that I am to fight with you, that I am not your enemy, I am your ally. And my idea is that our fight is not with each other. Our fight is about a systematic, some people say white supremacy, racism, but it systematically still exists, that Black people are not necessarily treated fairly. And there's a lot of things that we do need to overcome, but we have to do it together. You guys know who Harriet Tubman is. He's an American abolitionist, social activist. After escaping enslavement, Tubman made some 13 missions to rescue approximately 70 enslaved people, including her family and friends, using a network of anti-slavery activists, safe houses known as the Underground Railroad. You guys, and this is someone who I kind of have something dear to. I've always saw myself a little bit in Ida B. Wells. She is an American investigative journalist. Y'all know I do my investigative research. But an educator, early leader in civil rights movement. She was one of the founders of the NAACP. She dedicated her life combating prejudice, violence, and fighting for African Americans' equality. What a lot of people don't know is that these two women, Ida B. Wells and Harriet Tubman, have something else in common. They also started an organization back in the late 1800s called the National Association of Colored Women's Club. This was a group of Black women that wanted to fight along with their men for liberation. These women were usually middle class, highly educated Black women that also saw the need to fight, not only for women's rights, but particularly for Black folks and our freedom. Those two women started this organization. I am indebted to those women because this is also an organization that I am very proud of. I am part of the National Association of Colored Women's Club, an organization I've been a part of for 20 years that also go in the community, do community service. We're activists. We work alongside Black men to fight for a common cause. And the common cause is not only unity, but liberation. So I know a lot of people, and I've heard, well, what have you done? You're just on here on YouTube and talking. Well, I am also a part of a movement that goes beyond YouTube, that goes beyond my words that I get on here and say. It's the grassroots level that I'm a part of, that I'm very proud of. It's the work that I have done in my community. And so therefore, when I hear things and I see things that is anti-us, anti our struggle, anti talking about or trying to minimize who we are, it does affect me and it's personal to me. So I want to make sure that you guys know that for me, Courtney Michelle, this is not just YouTube for me. This has been my life for over 2 decades. It's funny, in college, people was like, oh, those greenback girls that I still represent, that I am a very proud member of. National Association of Colored Women's Club. We say we are the WOA, and what that means is that we are women of empowerment. Our motto is lifting as we climb, meaning that we are indebted not only to our ancestors, but we are indebted that once we get to a particular level, once we know better, we do better, but we're also picking up, lifting as we climb. We're not what people will call crabs in a barrel trying to keep us down. We are wanting to lift us up. And that has been really my ultimate goal, and what I thought that a lot of us were fighting for is the upliftment of our people. What this Pearly Gate thing has honestly showed me is that a lot of us in this space don't have the same common goal. And if we don't have a common goal of liberating, of freedom, and it's not just freedom as being enshackled as enslaved, but it's the mentality that a lot of us still have. It's the mentality that we are still have kind of like a slave mentality where we want white validation. We want to be like them. It's shitting on our culture, talking about our women day in, day out, talking about our men day in and day out to dehumanize. But like I've always said, I can't dehumanize people that look like me because I am part of you. Am I critical? Yes. Do I see the need of us, particularly Black women, to be better? Yes. But am I going to go on a rampage and just degrade us? No. A lot of people say, well, you're shaming. It's supposed to work. It should be shamed. There is some stuff that we should not be doing. But how does it help if I'm just degrading you? How does that help? To me, it doesn't. I can be critical, but I have to have some kind of resolve or have an idea to come up with the resolve. And it's unfortunate again, because what this Pearly Gates thing has taught me is that people don't want a resolve, that they're okay with trying to assimilate into a culture that don't want you, that we're okay with degrading ours to get attention and views and money and clicks. So then I have to ask, what is so sacred to you that you're not willing to be a sellout for? And this is a cause, my people, that I'm not willing to sell out. Nor am I willing to continue to go back and forth with people that will sell out, that don't care. I sometimes I get so tired of people saying this, my best interest at heart. Who has your best interest? Well, it's time to stop talking about it and be about it. It's time that people have a voice that's actually doing the work. And the work is not just me getting on YouTube. It's a part of it. But it's also the people that are actually doing the groundwork, that need a voice, that are doing community building and mentoring our youth, because they're going to continue our legacy. What are we leaving them? I am indebted to leave them something because I was left with so much. And that's what my organization that I've been indebted for almost right at 20 years now, that I've always believed and I've always been around. I've been around strong Black women, and their strength has nothing to do with being independent. Their strength came from wanting to be allies with our men. That has always been our strength. Historically, our strength, our warrior spirit, is to fight for us. And that spirit of Ida B. Wells, of Sojourner Truth, of so many countless Black women, that spirit lives in me, and I'm proud of it. A lot of things this Pearly Gates thing has made that spirit more alive. It made that torch go a little brighter and hotter. And it's like, no, Courtney, we got a whole lot to do. And you're needed. But you're not only needed, you need a group of folks that want to do it with you, that won't keep pulling and pushing out narratives of our people that continuously help in the demise in our community. I will not be that. I will not be used as a tool or a catalyst to demise my culture. I will speak up about it. I will have a stance. And whether people rock with my stance or not, I'm going to still be standing because I know in my heart that that's what we need. We don't need any more division of us. We need unity. Black men and Black women. Before I go into this, I want to show you guys something. Because again, I am very proud of the work that I have done and that I will continuously do. My organization, the National Association of Colored Women's Club. Let me tell you a little bit more about that real quick.
Black women began organizing to force our country to live up to its ideals from the time of its founding. During Reconstruction, a new generation picked up the mantle, expanded their mission, and by the last decade of the century, their well-known slogan captured the communal spirit of the women's club movement, lifting as we climb.
By the end of the 19th century, African American women, as part of the club movement, were fighting against all of the injustices that African Americans were experiencing. But one of the most important issues that they worked on was anti-lynching.
In the 1890s, the pioneering investigative journalist Ida B. Wells lectured widely through the British Isles, shining a light on the horrifying injustices that Black Americans were suffering under Jim Crow.
There were prominent men who opposed what she did. A woman talking so frankly, they thought it was unfeminine, they thought it was problematic. And so when she was getting flack from men, it was the women's clubs that did support her.
In 1895, club women were further spurred into action when Josephine St. Pierre Ruffin received word from the secretary of the London Anti-Lynching Committee. She had received a letter from a white male journalist containing a scathing attack on the virtues of Black women. In response to Ruffin's call to action, Black women held a national conference in Boston. The following year, the National Association of Colored Women was founded with a new objective: defending the honor and the dignity of Black womanhood.
There's a lot of emphasis on ideals of womanhood that are really a response to the general degradation that Black women experienced since slavery and the depiction of Black women as lascivious and licentious. So you see lots of women who are activists sharing a notion of Black womanhood that is respectable, that is decent, that is self-respecting.
By 1920, Black women in the club movement focused on almost every area that touched upon people's lives, from housing to voting to discrimination, and leaders such as Mary Church Terrell, Fannie Berry Williams, and Mary McLeod Bethune became very active in the political arena, fighting for social justice and civil rights.
So many of the women that you find in the late 19th and early 20th century who really emerge as leaders in the Black community are coming together in order to think about how to move forward, setting the tone for what will be institutional life for Black people for the coming century.
It's a reason why I always I focus on our image, because not only were these women fighting for us, they look good doing it. And that is the image that I want to see more of. I want to see more people champion positive of Blackness. I want to see more creators on YouTube, new ones and ones that's been here for years, to start showing that not all Black women are wretched. Not all Black women are wanting to go against men. Not all Black women are the same. But if we're not showing that, if we're only showing the degradation of our community, then that in essence continues to keep us down. Who wants to fight for a community when all you see is negativity? Who wants to believe in Black love when all we talk about is the separation and the divorce and everything? Who wants to? Do I believe in hope, or should people have hope? Absolutely. What do you think that you're seeing now is a lot of people that are hopelessness. They don't have hope. They don't think things could be better. And if you don't think that things can be better, then why in the world would you even try? Why try if it's going to be bad? We're not going to get married. We're not this, we're bad. So why even try? Well, no, let's flip it. Let's start seeing images of people that are getting it right, that do love us, that Black men that look at Black women as beautiful, and talk about or see Black women that look at Black men as leaders. But a lot in this space is not conducive to that. Of course, you guys know the movie Birth of a Nation, D.W. Griffith. This movie was one of the reasons why Black men was looked at as savages. It's one of the reasons that our image started of what Black people were and what white folks looked at us, and how honestly the world started to look at us, was the propaganda in such movies as Birth of a Nation. That you're running and rushing to grab on a white woman, and you're willing to do anything, that Black men were savages. And just for the touch of a white woman, you're willing to do anything. You see, these are the images that prompted the idea that still lingers on today. The idea that I know a lot of other people are fighting against. It's the propaganda that is right now still killing our community. What is propaganda and why is it bad? Well, propaganda is a powerful weapon in war. In certain cases, it is used to dehumanize and create hatred toward a supposed enemy, either internal or external, by creating a false image in the mind of soldiers and citizens. Propaganda. Is propaganda being used today? Yes. Well, what war are we in? What war? War? The gender war. It is a current gender war amongst Black men and Black women. And how are people in our community, on YouTube, in other spaces, how are they using that propaganda? Well, they're using the propaganda of keeping us separated, of having the idea that Black women are this and Black men are this. It's a war of separation, and it's working. It's working because now we don't need the clan to do it. We're doing it amongst ourselves. We're getting on here every day, hours on end, talking about how horrible we are. And it's so sad because I am seeing now younger, impressionable 20-year-olds that are now creating pages, that are now getting on these panels, that are now saying some of the so much hatred and the horrible rhetoric of what we are. And they're saying it, and I don't want this type of woman. I know how Black women are. I know how Black men are. And ain't never been in a relationship before. But these ideas, the propaganda that we keep spewing on the internet amongst each other, is trickling down to our kids and our children and the younger generation. What are they going to think of Black women? What are our Black girls going to think of Black men? Well, we know that white supremacy don't want us together. So they'll pay off some Black folks to tell you how bad you are. They'll pay off a white girl to pay off my Africans. They'll pay everybody off to tell you how bad we are. There's people on here that is saying that Black women are the enemy. I said it before and I'm saying it again. Black folks, we are not each other's enemy. But if we keep tearing each other apart, then we become and we look at ourselves as the enemy. And what becomes of our culture, our community? It dissipates. And I just can't sit idly by and let it go away because it means so much to me. So modern day propaganda is what we are now. In the 21st century, propaganda is largely dismantled through the internet and on social media platforms such as Twitter, such as IG, such as YouTube. Modern propaganda still utilizes classic tactics such as name calling, bandwagon in order to sway the audience toward or against a particular belief. I'm gonna say this because I'm going to talk about it, and then again, a lot of this stuff I'm going to lay to rest because I'm tired of just talking about it. I'm ready and I'm wanting and I'm going to continue to be about it. Chantel Simone. I know you guys have probably seen some of my community posts, and I'm posting things for a reason. I'm posting things because a big thing with propaganda and how people are used is to keep you distracted. So if we're talking about unification and maybe we are starting to have conversations of us getting together and we're having panels where Black women and Black men are now talking, well, we can't have that. So we'll use entities and people will be used to keep us separated. I deem Chantel Simone to be just like a Pearly, an agent of chaos, an agent of separation, of someone that doesn't necessarily know Black culture as it is in America, but know about our dysfunction and are willing to degrade Black women for $1 in order to get a buck, a like, a view, are willing to use our dysfunction for a payment. People that have no idea, have no historic idea of what we've gone through as Black Americans, has no idea, but are able to use it against us. She's right now posted something and did a live today about how horrible it was off a super chat. But what did I say about propaganda? Propaganda is giving you little truths, little bitty truths to make you have an idea. And because we are so impressionable that people run with it. People do it all the time. We'll clip up something. She said this in a clip, but won't do the due diligence to research or look at its entirety. But will run with something and then have an idea of it. Propaganda. I did send a super chat, but no one seemed to understand or ask the question, why? Why? I want to play it so you guys understand the why.
Talking about,
let me go back.
But this here Sunday we're having a conversation. I will be dropping the link. Jamari81, big up yourself. I like that name. What's her name from Girlfriends? I don't remember her. No, what's her name in Girlfriends? Her son name was Jamari. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The one from Girlfriend. Y'all know the one who had the husband, the only one who had a husband, but she cheated on him. All right, Jamari said, I'm totally on your side regarding the women should leverage their box debate. I think those like Courtney want men to stay, build a community while being leveraged by the almighty box. Exactly. It's like, stay and save your community. And what do we have to offer? The box. And it's like, sis, everybody have a box though. And sis, your box used up. I mean,
So in the live, there was a shot thrown at me. It was a shot. Now y'all see I got my boys in the hood shirt. Boys in the hood is always hard. Start talking to trash, we'll pull your card. Hey, I'm an 80s baby. I come from part of me. You throw a shot, you get a shot back. That's what happened. But no one seemed to ask those questions. Courtney, why? Well, why? Well, there was a shot thrown at my wound, called me used up in front of a platform which had no reason to. Then I pulled up.
We're talking about it today, though. We are talking about it today. Social media as much as possible. Oh, we have Courtney Michelle in the building. Okay. Let me tell you how on Facebook, my social media. 4 P's, rest your body. Courtney Michelle said, you have an assigned seat at Planned Parenthood. Let's talk about it. What? Chantal, you have an assigned seat at Planned Parenthood.
So yeah, I sent it. It was a shot thrown at me and I threw a shot back. But however, it was interesting because the shot, which was done 2 months ago and it was deaded, I made a stream about it, but now all of a sudden it gets propped up 2 months ago. A distraction. This could have been hashed out, talked about 2 months ago, but for some reason now we bring it up to distract again. What is the bigger issue? Now, during that, was there a no, that's not true? It wasn't. You know, being a woman in this space and all you hear is talk about Cynthia G and her aborting Black boys and Cynthia G and Cynthia G. Well, let me tell you guys something that no one seems to think about. You can't fight a Cynthia G about aborting Black boys if you're pro-choice. But no one asks those questions. You just want us to fight about something. But if you're pro-choice, then honestly, can you fight that? Me have always stated that I am pro-life. So my pro-life is you shouldn't be aborting nobody's baby. It's murder. But those that are pro-choice, well, you do get to choose. You have women have a right, an autonomy over their own body to choose whether to abort a child or not. So someone being very specific, how can someone a pro-choice fight that? Well, you can't, because logically it doesn't make any sense. But again, we're not thinkers on here. We go with the flow. We go with propaganda that people spill and hatred that we spill on here. And you just go with it without even asking any in-depth questions or being critical of any ideas. Last show, I showed the screenshots of every single show that Pearly was making was about Black women and the modern women and the modern women and the modern women, which we all know is really key word for Black women. Usually it is. And then I kept seeing the same thing. And this is what I'm fighting against. Every single show of degrading us. Degrading. Showing images of women that are not attractive, that are big and fat and it's like, we're not all like this. Propaganda. Now, I will give it to her, and I don't know what changes, but this space has a way of changing women. This space is either you're going to continue to do what you are told to do, which is pander to us, or if you're not pandering, then you're gonna be attacked, And they're going to bring the attack dogs. Shout out to Simone. And this is the last time that I'm going to cover it because, again, to bring it up in a time where we're really talking about unification and talking about Blackness was really odd to me. But I get it and I understand because some people just want to ride a wave. And if people like Obsidian do a 9-hour stream about me, then the next day what you're going to see is just catching a wave. So I understand. But she wasn't always like this. And I want to also see, and I think this is important too, how this space can change a woman. Let me pull this of her.
I say looking at the person's results is important too, because as you said earlier, game changer, you know, there's two. You could be having the point, but the means and then the goal. If my goal is to say, hey, let's start having more two-parent households in the Black community, and I'm not contributed to more two-parent households in the Black community, am I just talking just to talk because I'm like, oh, these talking points are hot, or am I actually preaching, living, practicing what I preach, living the life how I live it? And it's just like, what's the purpose of it? What's the purpose of your channel? Because if you claim in your bio that, oh, you're for the Black community, you're for Black love and Black unity, but you're only beating the drum of the negative things that's happening in the Black community, if you're only talking negatively about Black men, or if you're only talking negatively about Black women, how are you helping the Black community? Aren't you making matters even worse? And I mean, I'm not saying like, yeah, don't provide a space for us to come out and talk about these issues and bring awareness to these issues, because one young lady in particular, she's always saying, oh, I'm bringing awareness. But okay, you bring awareness. How long are you going to bring awareness for? Until you start brainstorming ways of finding solutions, problems. And as I said, you can't claim that you are for Black love. You cannot claim that Black life matter if your channel is dedicated to highlight the flaws in Black men or highlight the flaws in Black women.
But that's what it's become. So it's flip-flop. It's changed. Any channel for me that shows the degradation of my community days in and days out, how does that help? How does that solve the problem? It keeps us divided. So me going at Pearly was because I saw it months ago. Me with the Chantel thing, because I'm seeing it now. It is not helpful. And it's not helpful, especially for those that don't even understand where we are, what we've done here in America as far as being Black. It doesn't help when someone doesn't have a skin in the game, but again, using our dysfunction for profit. It bothers me. You know, with Cynthia G, I said this before, I think it is a case study, because even with that flip-flop of a content creator wanting for unification of Black people and saying that we shouldn't just always show the horribleness that Black women can do, that sometimes we have to have a balance. And I've said this before, and I said that I do believe that is, again, what happened to Cynthia G. It was a change. It was a flip. And I do believe that being in a space that only highlights and demean Black women and don't show anything positive, it works on our psyche as Black women. It's worked on mine. Being in a space told that I'm not good enough, you just hit the wall and you're nothing, you're just a loot baby mama, you ain't gonna get nothing. Hearing that every day in and out by Black men that I love and respect, it does do something to you. And it's the propaganda that we keep putting on ourselves. Pearly was used as a tool. I played this before and I might have to bring it on again. Let's play that.
Man, I'm just oh my God.
So with this Pearl situation, you know, forget what she said recently. Like, are you aware that she Me Too'd her high school?
We are aware of it. That's the first time it came around. It came up. Sister George and Concrete Rose mentioned had Sexy Red on there with her, right? On their show, they did 2 shows on it, and when Obsidian actually brought her up, they actually came up and confronted her about it. So we're aware of it. Okay, we went through that already. Personally, I don't care. But go ahead.
You don't care? That's interesting. She Me Too'd a black man, and that doesn't matter.
In other words, I think. Hold on. You asked me a question, right? Or you asked me my opinion? Or
I did.
Or you want to make?
No, I did. My bad.
Which
no, I asked.
What did I say at the beginning? Right? She's a tool. She's an object. She's something to be used to actually do something further.
It's not about Pearly. It's about some of us wanting white validation. And it's also about women in the space being used as a tool to push out propaganda that Black women ain't shit. And that if you have a problem with Black women, then it's Black women, it's not you. That we are all fundamentally problematic, that we fundamentally don't love you or don't want to be led, that we all have problems, that we're all losing it. And on the other side, when you listen to the divestors, it's the same thing. All they show is the worst of our men. And it's the propaganda that it keeps spilling on to people that are coming in new in this space, that Black men are horrible, that they're Dusties, and Black women are Keishas and all this. And it's, again, continuously keeping us divided.
$100 super chats did you get in the last 4 days? You
lost
lost count. That's right. You know why?
Yeah, that's right, girl.
Because she gonna say what we want her to say.
That's right, baby. Just like
you belong to us.
Yeah, as soon as you pay for that lap dance.
I don't.
And it meets their approval, and they pay for it, and they say, "You go, keep talking that talk. We're taking care of you." And what's wrong with that? And she's providing them. Wait. And she is providing what it is that they want. It's called a reciprocal relationship. It works all over the world. It works. I provide something to you, and you provide something to me in return. And we're going to keep going round and round until one of us gets tired. But usually that's what happens. When it's done right, when it's done correctly, it don't stop. Wait, let me finish. The minute she stops providing the information and the talking points and the things that the men feel like need to be heard, is the minute they can cut off the flow. So stop acting like there's something wrong with that. There isn't. It puts power in your hand.
Propaganda. I am going to pay you to push a narrative, and if you don't pander to our needs, and if you don't say what we want you to say, then we're going to stop. And for some people, they're willing to be sold out for that reciprocal relationship. I am not. I'm not to be sold. You cannot buy me. It's probably a reason why I think Danica called me the problem child. Because I'm not getting out here just to pander to you. I want unification. And that means that some people ain't gonna like what I have to say, because I'm not gonna say anything to twinkle and seduce your ears. And anyone that's doing that is just a paid preacher, a Joel Osteen. And it's not healing, is actually helping and keeping us separate. I'm gonna bring someone up, but first let me say I want to play this too, because I thought it was interesting. I am a member of the underground. I pay my 10 to get in because I like listening to other perspective. I always have. You'll see me. I was on other people's channels. You don't know where I'm gonna pop up. But I do it because I like hearing others' perspective instead of mine. Sometimes I try to get out of this echo chamber and I want to hear other people. And yesterday, Ty said something that I thought was golden. And let him play.
He valued Pearly more than himself. Exactly. These dudes really do think white people are more superior than them. She can get places that we can't. And again, we talking about
And that's where Miss Pearly comes in, because I said that on lives. Pearly can talk to people that we can't talk to.
Jesus Christ. He is repeating that. He's repeating that. Again, this is advocating for female leadership. A whole white lady. What's up with this nigga, man? Jesus. Man, this is, oh my God. Now, again, when people start pressing that button and start saying, hey, you guys are advocating for this bitch in the black manosphere, bro, nobody in the white manosphere thinks that bitch is a tool that can be used to gain actual power. Nobody, the only place where you can hear I was about to hard ER. The only place where you can hear anybody say that they're going to use this bitch to try to acquire actualized power is in the black manosphere. Nobody else is saying this. Nobody else thinks that Pearl can be a tool to be used to gain actualized power. Nobody thinks that just Pearly things has the influence that we need to change laws. The woman that's being pushed through mainstream media as the next Andrew Tate is who, these people are crazy.
My sentiments exactly. So it's uncovered a lot of stuff. It's uncovered that, again, what I've talked about, that people and organizations and movements can be infiltrated. It's revealed that people are being bought. It's revealed that it is an agenda or propaganda to continuously keep us separated. It is an agenda that people are still saying that we are, Black women are your enemy. And it's also showing too that the propping up of a woman and putting her in and congratulating her and being in a leadership role is also showing the hypocritical. That there are people that are supposed leaders that are wanting a white woman to lead them, the hypocrisy. Let me tell you guys something, Black folks. You don't need no one but yourself. Let me tell you something, Black man. You can get in those spaces. You don't need a white woman to do it for you. You don't need a white woman to go for laws. You don't need women to do that. Y'all are looking for leaders, but it's in you. You lead. If you want to change child support laws and the ideas of marriage and no fault divorce, you don't need a woman to say it on the internet. You just need you to do it. Go be the change. Go advocate. Go lobby. Why ain't no one saying that? Because it's all talk. It's all talk. If you want a change, stop looking at other people to talk about it on the internet. Get offline and do it. There's Black women on here talking about I advocate for Black men. Well, how? Just by getting on the internet and getting money to say what they need you to hear? That's not advocation. That's being a puppet. And that makes the situation worse. It's time for us to be honest and true. And truth hurts, but it'll set you free. And we're not free right now. We need a lot more to get out of this mentality slave shackled ideology that a lot of us are in. Black men, you need women to be an assist. You don't need women to lead. And that to me is completely out of order. I'm going to bring We Need to Talk up once he cams up. But I want to have the conversation of what now? Let me get to the super chats as well, guys. And I really, really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Uncle Stu, the man on the block. It's always good to see you, my brother, my guy, Marcus Evans. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys' support. Discipline, prioritizing purpose. You've always been awesome. Thank you so much. Stay on principle, stay on code. Us men of principle are not the ones that speak the loudest, but our actions speak louder, moving in silence. These types of disruptions is good, though, because it shows where people are really at, especially in the mindset. And I totally agree. Black men unfiltered. Love you, sis. Always have, always will. I love you too, my brother. Speaker vibes. Honestly, I wish y'all can work it out. Listen, I said this before. If you're not for us, you're against us at this point for me. If you're not helping a situation, then you're hurting it. And I think my walls, boundaries are hard now. I'm unwavering. Marcus Evans, thank you so much. I wish y'all two can squash it like you did with Kayla. But she's still on some nut shit. I know you just always keep your head up high by the Most High. Bless you. Thank you so much. Listen, Obsidian said something the other day, was like, have you ever heard a Black woman apologize or something? And I was like, I apologize to Six the Goddess. Me and her, not in a beef, but clearly didn't see eye to eye, especially on the show. But something positive that I would take away from this is that it's broken up a lot of friendships. I know you guys have seen a lot of friendships be broken up, but it's mended a lot too. And that was one. Shout out to Six the Goddess. Mel Chan always bashes Black women, but she means Black American women. She's collaborating with white supremacy. We should never unite with the white supremacists or our collaborators. Well, I agree with that. All right. So before I was going to be petty, but I'm not going to be petty because he doesn't want me to be petty. Hi, Alex. Can I be petty one more?
Do your thing. Go ahead. It's your stream.
I'm sorry. Let me be petty because I see a stream. Man, yeah, I'm so tired of y'all streams. Okay, I had a 9-hour stream yesterday. I'm not that cool, y'all. What the hell? And then today I see a stream calling me Ku Klux Keisha. I said, no, I'm a Ku Klux Keisha. But again, when you don't have anything to necessarily talk about, or you don't want to waver your base and you want to make sure you're in good graces, instead of being a critical thinker, you're going to go what is going to incite your base. And her base is not obviously mine. So, of course, you're going to incite the base. You're not going to talk about anything regarding Pearly because, that might shake up the base and we can't do that. So she'll talk about me. And I was like, darn, another one? A whole nother stream, my girl?
Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. And another one. And another one.
12 seconds later.
Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. And another one. And another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. And another one. And another one.
So I'm just going to add this stream to my list of another one, girl. Okay. Talk about something else. Talk about it. Yeah, I sent the super chat, but you took a shot at me. Pow, pow. You take these shots.
How you feeling, Courtney?
Oh, it's been a couple weeks, I'll tell you that. Mm-hmm. But, I'm doing good. So today I wanted, as you can see, closing the Pearly gates and moving forward, because I'm tired of talking about her. Honestly, she's really not that important in the conversation. I didn't want her in the conversation, but she made her way into it. And tonight I want to take her out of it. And not only her, I think that for me, our fight is not necessarily white supremacy, but I think it's us being able to recognize it when it comes. And we can't recognize it. We don't know how it's going to come, which is important that we do know our history. And as of right now, what white supremacy is showing is that now it's blackface. And I think you putting face of blackness on white supremacy actually does more harm, because now I can't tell who you are.
Right.
But I think that this situation has shown us a lot, and people have shown their colors, and people have picked a side. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Is there somebody who surprised you? Come on, we naming names today.
Someone that surprised me as far as with their stance.
With their stance. And you can't say Beautiful Lies. Because I saw that stream. You can't say that. That's a gimme. So somebody else on either side.
You know what? I can admit that I'm surprised about Danica and not so but maybe Danica being more out front and outspoken. So that, I know her stance. I know it's Black love. She's married to a Black woman, Black man, my apologies. But, I'm surprised because I know when you do take a stand, the backlash, and I know a lot of times as a content creator, you don't want the backlash because it goes into streams, it goes to Tommy Sotomayor making multiple videos. Like, as a one, you don't want that. So a lot of times people stay silent because of that backlash. So I was actually surprised and proud that she took a stance. But other than that, no. What about you?
You know this. I'm kind of nihilistic, so I try to assume the worst most times. So a lot of things don't surprise me. I think the extent that I saw Obsidian go, that surprised me. The extent that I saw lead attorney go, I think that surprised me. Who else? But yeah, I've been kind of conflicted for a long time because the manosphere is pro-Black male but not pro-Black, and every chance, in my comments and other people's comments, any chance that some of the voices in this space get to make fun of pro-Blackness or trivialize pro-Blackness, they take it, right? Like it's, those pro-Blacks, ... As if, kind of like a few years ago, we used to make fun of like hoteps, like, the sister, mother, goddess, those type of dudes, as if it's ridiculous. But I think there's a lot of like cognitive dissonance. There's a lot of confused people here, and unfortunately, I think the confusion comes from a lot of like pain. A lot of men are stuck in anger. They're stuck in that stage of grief. And the only way that they know how to understand this conversation with men and women is through Black women being the villain of the story. And I and people like yourself have been trying to add the nuance and the layers and the depth to this conversation, because that's the only way we're going to solve this thing.
Yeah, I agree. So there's been conversations now. There's been a lot of women that's like, you know what, this space, the Black manosphere, and even they've even said this space is not supposed to be for women, but then women were allowed here. And now there you see women such as like myself and other content creators is like, you know what, you don't want us here. When we hear stuff about us being the enemy, there is no space for us. Do you agree, or what is your take on the Black manosphere and having women being a part, or should we? Let me play this.
Okay.
Because Godfrey took a clip from the Lapeef Network.
Okay.
And put it on his IG, and people are running with the clip, and rightfully so. And there's a lot of rhetoric on there that has been like, okay, but I want to play this. And again, I'll just play it.
Want to know what's really wrong with the Black community is that the woman is out of her purpose and she's not a helpmeet no more. Yep. She's the enemy. She's more of an enemy than the white man ever has. She's more of an enemy than anybody in history has ever been to the Black community, because she's the very person that comes in with deceit and looks to use you and then disperse of you when she's done with you. And then she'll move on when it's all said and done, and then say, well, what about the kids? Fuck them kids and fuck that woman too. Throw that hoe out with the bathwater. Throw the baby out with the bathwater. Start the fuck over. Get a whole new group of women, and then fix the community that way.
Let me play this.
These women were trying to get us completely off the internet. Black women. Just because we were telling the truth about the plight of black men. Right? Just because we were telling the truth. They made a hit list. Right? And
hit list, let me go.
When the space was a little more pure, just the fact that Pearly has consistently given feminists that work, has consistently given gynocrats that work. If she said, well, I think that slavery was embellished, you know what we would have did back in the day? Soon as the women got mad, soon as the B-dubs got mad, we'd have been like, what you want me to do about it? We'd have done one of these numbers. I don't know what she said. I didn't see what she said. I don't care what she said. That's what the fuck we would have did. That's why when all of you motherfuckers see, there's a bunch of you motherfuckers that's brand new. You've turned this space into a bullshit agenda. Whining and complaining about shit that ain't got nothing to do with a goddamn thing. You've forgotten who your real opposition is. 2.0 manosphere, original manosphere, would not give a fuck about that comment. That's the truth. And if you think I'm lying, go find another OG that's been around as long or longer than me and fucking ask them. Ask them if they give a fuck about it. I guarantee you they don't. I guarantee you they don't. And the reason why they don't is because Pearly and every other white chick on the planet pales in comparison to the shit that's been done to us by the fucking modern B-dub. You mad at Pearly, the B-dub mad at Pearly. Guess what? When you and the B-dub, the modern B-dub, both of your fucking interests are aligned today, you need to go look in the mirror, my friend. If the modern B-dub is mad about something and you're mad about it too, and your fucking interests are aligning, but you still ain't got her submission, you still ain't got her cooperation, your community is still fucked up, and y'all are aligned, you need to go look in the mirror.
Thoughts? A lot.
So I connected with this brother a couple months ago because he was a fan of the content that I was putting out. And he runs a telecommunications company. And me and him were chopping it up, and he was telling me that right now we're upgrading the firmware. I'm probably using the wrong terminology. All over the country because we're getting ready for Web 3.0 or something like that. Mm-hmm. You know, and that includes like virtual reality, augmented reality, the metaverse and things like that, because essentially the captains of industry want people to spend more time in the virtual world than in the real world. Mm-hmm. And I bring that up to say the manosphere, and you know, I'm quote unquote new to it, so I'm learning about some of the figures, the Angry Mans, the Obsidians, people like that. They are great examples of the difference between the virtual world and the real world. And I think that's probably why we don't know what Obsidian looks like on camera. We don't know even if that's his real name. We don't know Angry Man's real name. Because a lot of these statements are hyperbolic. A lot of these statements are heavy-handed. A lot of these statements lack any nuance or depth. I saw Bernard Riley a couple days ago, and he posted something similar. He said, who has damaged, or who has done more damage to black men, white women or black women? And I commented, I was like, yo, if you think this question is intelligent, you're an idiot. Because as men, we're supposed to, have foresight. Part of having foresight is understanding where you're coming from, AKA history. And I shouldn't have to remind you of Emmett Till. I shouldn't have to remind you of the slave master's wife who beat your children to death. I shouldn't have to remind you of every white woman who started a rumor about what a black man did to her and got the black town burned down. I shouldn't have to remind you of that. I shouldn't have to remind you that white female racism has actually been more dangerous to the black man than white male racism. I shouldn't have to remind you of that. But to compare that to some of the misbehavior that we're seeing from our women, it is completely idiotic to me. Who taught black women feminism? Right? And the issue that I have with a lot of the men in this space, a lot of the men like Angry Man who make some of these statements, is because they're teaching their constituents a method and approach that doesn't work in real life. Like you can't talk to your daughter like that. You can't talk to your mom like that. You can't talk to a woman you're interested in like that. And to think that you're gonna take, that same disposition and harboring that same amount of anger and take it to another woman and she's gonna respect you. She's not gonna ask, oh, you couldn't get shit together in your household? Yeah, I'm gonna play along until I get my green card, and then I'm gonna leave you and turn into a modern woman, or at least that's gonna be the thing that you tell yourself to sleep well at night.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this virtual shit is giving men, and I wanna preface it by saying men have solid critiques, and I've articulated those critiques. But some of the places that we go with it, and a lot of how we handle this conversation shows me that an uncomfortable number of men would rather be angry. They don't want solution because, and I say the same thing about women, like to want solution means that you have to kind of assign yourself to being part of the solution. And most people don't want that level of responsibility. So they would rather just stew in niggas ain't shit or women ain't shit or whatever the case may be, and nothing gets solved. We just keep spinning our wheels. And I asked this in my last stream. I said, yo, if some of these figures that we're propping up, if they're successful, what is the net benefit to our community? If Angry Man makes $1 million, how does that help black men? How does that help black women? How does that help your sons and daughters who are yet unborn? And these are the things that I wish we would think about. Same with women. These are the things that I wish we would think about, but I think we're just stuck in, oh, I need an anger translator. I need somebody to help articulate some of the fury that I have in my heart.
Why is it, because in that, and even with Anton saying that we're the enemy, why do you think that's resonating to some men?
The simple answer is because they don't know history. They don't understand the importance of history. They don't understand that history and time is cyclical. They don't understand that you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you're coming from. And they don't understand that, a lot of this shit has happened before. Like we talk about Shahrazad Ali's book that she wrote in the 1989, 1990. And a lot of dudes will say, well, she could have written that today. And it's like, yes, because history is cyclical. So maybe if we started studying some of the things that led to her writing it back then, we might have a better grasp or understanding of what we need to do, how we need to pick up from what we started doing to solve our situation today. But a lot of people think that history is in the past, history is irrelevant. And that's why you hear men make those hyperbolic statements like black women are the enemy, because they don't understand what put black women in those situations in the first place. They don't understand what put black men on the macro, not just individual exceptional dudes, but black men in the macro where they've become little boys for all intents and purposes. And black women have had to step into our role, and it's impossible to be doing somebody's job better than them and respect them. Like we have to talk about both sides instead of just black women are putting us on child support. Black women, black women, black women. Because at the end of the day, when I'm talking to these black women, because that's the difference. A lot of dudes talk about people, but they don't talk to them. When I'm talking to black women, a lot of their bullshit is rooted in a shit father or shit grandfather or an uncle who did something to them. But we don't add that level of nuance to the conversation because what gets clicks, what gets views, what gets super chats is black women are the enemy.
So, I think I might have said this before to you where I was like, there's no way a woman can stay in this particular space and be feminine. Because, first, in order to really try to run or create this as a business, I mean, you got to have some boundaries. It's a little harsh, but it's the rhetoric that I have heard over the past years. It's just not conducive to, I don't think, femininity as far as a woman, or even me sometimes having to not go to a stream because I know it's going to do something to my spirit. Do you think women have a role or should have a space here?
I'm going to answer that two ways, and I've told you this before off camera. I think a woman's primary power is in everything that she doesn't say. I think a woman's primary power is in how she carries herself, her posture, right? I think when women try to play men's game, they're going to lose, right? I would liken it to men are good boxers, women are probably better at jujitsu, right? Jujitsu, if you're unfamiliar, the power position, sometimes you start off on the bottom. But people who actually do jujitsu, they know that is, that is the advantageous position to be in. So being soft, being demure, to the untrained eye, and unfortunately a lot of our women, they think, oh, that's weak, that's soft. We call it pussy, as if vagina isn't one of the strongest things on the planet, right? And I think this space, especially when you talk about I call them panel mandingo fights, it forces you to step into your masculine. Now, the second thing that I wanted to say is, one of the things I've noticed too, because of these panel mandingo fights, is it seems like we're rewarding contrarians, right? Like I'll hear some people come up and say some shit that they may or may not actually believe, but they know it's going to stir up the hornet's nest. They know they're going to be the one person who had the audacity or the balls, quote unquote, to say that. And it's like we've rewarded that behavior for so long that it incentivizes other people, other men who might be watching, or people who are going to come up on panels to be that. And it's like when you press them on it, or when you hear them, or when you give them the space to elaborate on it, you realize they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't actually even believe that. But you've been praised. It's kind of like a kid, right? You've been praising him for being bad. And then you wonder why he becomes a drug dealer when he turns 15. That's what we're doing in this space. So whether for men or women, I don't think it's conducive for any black people who are actually interested in progress.
That's interesting. Because I didn't think, I'm looking at it like as far as with women, but anyone you think that's wanting progress, because we talk about Cynthia G a lot in this space, and I am of the idea that she was created. that when she got over here, it was she was Black love and pro-Black, but she changed. And I want to play something for you, two things, to get your idea, and if this space does change people or has the propensity to change folks. But this was off her stream.
Bandits, okay? I wouldn't go so far as to say I was a manosphere mule, because I still wouldn't go and be on their panels, with the exception of O'Shea's Sunday Rumble. I wouldn't really go be on their panels. I wasn't in their space. I still didn't really care too much about talking to them. But my content was, for the most part, geared towards talking about issues that affect Black men and not those that affect Black women. And that's what a lot of Black women do too. You look silly when you sit up here and you're focusing on how the criminal justice system is unfair to them, when if you do the research, it's unfair to you too. If you compare the sentences that Black women get in comparison to women of no color, it's just as disproportionate as bandits. Y'all are just used to bandits running around here comparing themselves to women, not other men. In comparison to other men, yes, they are more locked up. In comparison to other women, Black women are more locked up. You ignore your own problems just to talk about theirs. The minute that these bandits showed me how disloyal they were, I stopped defending them, because one of my expectations is if I'm being loyal to you, then you are going to reciprocate that loyalty. If I'm sitting over here talking about white supremacy and the problem that it is, you don't then get to show that you're a white supremacist too, or else I'm going to stop defending you. I stopped defending them because the same people that I was advocating for was attacking me, much like how the bandits in the Dusty Beta Manosphere are now attacking the Manosphere mules in favor of the Pearly dead fish.
So that's in her words, saying that she was defending, I guess, Black men in this space, but didn't seem that it was reciprocated. And because it wasn't, then she stopped. And now we have the Cynthia G that, again, has a big platform advocating for male deletions. Do you think that was created?
I think as men, you know, I've said this multiple times, but, you know, I think one of the differences between men and boys is, you know, boys react and men respond. And sometimes, you know, I talk about this sometimes even with relationships, you know, women don't like that sometimes. Like when something happens, she wants you to talk about it right then and there, but like most men need some time to step away. All right, babe, I'm about to go to the room real quick. Give me some time. Let me get my thoughts together. And I think that getting your thoughts together is a big part of being a man. And when it comes to Cynthia G, I think when you really think about it, the feeling that a lot of us should associate with her is pity. It shouldn't be anger. It should be pity, right? If you really look at her, you can tell that something snapped, right? It might be dissociative personality disorder. It might be, you know, but something is not right.
That's what I said.
And whether it's, you know, she never really believed that pro-Black shit in the first place, and now she's showing her true colors, or she really did believe the pro-Black shit and it wasn't reciprocated. I think our response as men specifically should be pity. And it should be the type of pity that makes sure that we don't create more Cynthia G's in our community. Because unfortunately, the way that things are going, not only could we potentially create Cynthia G's, but the media, you know, machine, especially social media, incentivizes people being dissonant. It incentivizes people to be like hyperbolic. It incentivizes the Antons. It incentivizes the angry mans. It incentivizes the Cynthia G's. And even like if you know, when they're alone what's that LL Cool J song? When I'm alone in my room, sometimes when they're alone, you know what I'm saying? When they're alone at night, like, and that character, that mask comes off, I think about like what's going through her mind. What is she thinking about? What happened to you? Right? And I think like if we can get to that, fuck the manosphere, if we can get to that place as Black people, I think we can number one, prevent Cynthia G's from being created and potentially rehabilitate some of our lost brothers and sisters as well.
Yeah. You know, I never was a fan of saying Pookie and Ray Rays. Like, I mean, I kind of get it, but I think it's dismissive. And now that's the Pookie Ray Rays over there. It was like, no, they're still a part of us. And, you know, I can talk about the behavior, but not necessarily just willing to just throw people away. Now, if they decide to go their own way, okay. But, you know, for those that are wanting, I don't even say healing, but are wanting to listen to something different, I think that needs to be welcomed. And again, that's why I try to create, and I think it's important that we do create a platform of being critical with grace. And I think that lacks a lot in our community is the grace that we need. And it's just so much, like I said, that I didn't know that I was perpetuating. And then it was like, okay, well, thank God gave me grace. And if he's able to give me grace, and I think it's incumbent upon me to also give grace. But let me play this for you, because the creating of a Cynthia G.
Okay.
And again, I think she's an awesome. I just think it's just something to study and to look at, because it was a complete flip. But then I see it and I'm seeing it again, and it's a flip. And I've had to tell myself too, it's like, man, Courtney, don't go off the deep end, because just because you're getting this hate from this doesn't mean that that's general. And I always have to remind myself of the silent majority, that majority of men don't think that we're the enemy. But when you're told that, it's hard. But not like this.
I mean, one of the things that I tell people, you know, because most people know that I'm Nigerian. And one of the things that keeps me humble, keeps me grounded, but also is like part of my survivor's remorse is I tell people, if I never came to this country, I would be a scammer. I would be emailing you saying I'm a prince. If you send me, you know, $200, I'm gonna double it. I'm serious. And the reason I say that is because, for instance, there's a young man that I grew up with before I migrated to the United States. And my mom reached out to his mom. He and I were the same age. His mom, my mom were the same age. My mom reached out to his mom just to see how they were doing, you know, after all these years. And like, they're not doing well at all. Like, he is back in the village, like unemployed. And when you understand the context of Nigeria, particularly like the Nigeria that most Nigerians experience, not the rich motherfuckers who come over here, but the people who were born in like Surulere or like Ajuelegba, like people who are from the slums, it is one where there is no upward mobility. Like, if your dad don't know somebody, or you know, your mom didn't sleep with somebody, your situation is going to be limited to your, you know, your slum, your neighborhood, the whole nine. And you know, if because I know that if it wasn't for the blessing of coming to this country, I wouldn't have turned out well. It's easy for me, or it's easier for me, to look at other people who, because of one little thing that happened in their life, or that didn't happen in their life turned out a completely different way. They are a bad person, quote unquote. And I think if, as Black people especially, whether we're looking at brothers in the hood, whether we're looking at divestors, whether we're looking at, you know, people in our community, we should be able to have that, not just grace, but the empathy of conceptualizing ourselves in their situation and considering the limitations that are placed on us. Not just I would. It's easy to say what you would do, but the reality of a lot of people is it's fucked up. And what encouraged me when I had that conversation with the divester, this brother, Philly kid, shout out to Philly, he came up and he said something that blew my mind. He was like, yo, that girl grew up in the neighborhood that I grew up in. And because of that, I understand why she's like that.
Yeah.
Like everything that she's saying about black men in that neighborhood is true. Absolutely true. Black men don't take care of their kids. Black men are dusty, unemployed, the whole nine. It is absolutely true. As men, we're supposed to be able to take that information and understand that, no, she's not the cancer, she's a symptom. The cancer is the neighborhood. What caused the neighborhood? Well, mass incarceration, Jim Crow. We're supposed to be able to get to the core and get to the root of our problems instead of just bickering and dealing with and trying to scapegoat symptoms as the disease.
Yeah. What does playing in the Victim Olympics mean to you?
I think it's a dismissive phrase that we use a lot. And I think people who tend to throw that out are the people who lack the intellectual bandwidth to actually conceptualize the depth and the nuances of issues, right? Because it will say, oh, you know, playing in the victim, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You know, the bootstrap politics, the Thomas Sowells and those people. When, unfortunately, the situation of this country, especially from a black perspective, is one that you don't have boots. You have to pull yourself up by your Achilles. Can you do that? Maybe. But can the 99% do that? No. And as long as, and this is my core problem with people like Anton, as long as we keep relying on black exceptionalism, we will never make progress that's going to be sustainable. Because at the end of the day, for every Barack Obama, there's 1 million brothers who died before the age of 30. And we need to focus on that, because when it comes down to it, the game that white people are playing is a game of numbers. They know they're the global minority.
Yeah.
So they're going to make sure that we think that they're the best, they're ISIS coded and the whole nine. Whereas we're trying to talk about, oh, well, if Jimmy can do it, then I can do it. And it's like, no, your neighborhoods were redlined, right? And you need to be a bit more strategic in your approach to deconstructing this. So not only can you make it out, but other brothers can make it out as well, and you have a coalition to keep you safe.
Yeah. You know, even with that, the pull yourself up from the bootstraps, they say that about with immigrants. Is why is it that when someone comes from Nigeria or wherever, that when they come over here, they're highly successful, but you're not. They're able to pull their boots up and get on track, and you not here in America. But when an immigrant comes over, they can. Now, you were doing something, I believe, called brain drain, right? Which I know the idea, but what do you say about that? It's, well, immigrants come over here and they're able to get it, and you can't. It's you.
I'm gonna try to condense it because this is complicated. The reason for that, so for instance, when I came over here, I was 8 years old. My dad already had his master's degree. My mom worked at a TV station. Now, when they came over here, my mom ended up working at Dunkin' Donuts. And my dad, I think he was working at a tire shop or some shit. The highest that they ever got, I think my mom is currently a CNA. My dad just retired as a corrections officer. I say that to say, when you come from a situation where you're starved of opportunity, like somewhere like Nigeria, there's literally no opportunity. Your level of hunger for said opportunity is your advantage, right? In America, I think what happens with brothers in America, like let's put the post-traumatic slave syndrome to the side for a second. But I think what happens with brothers in America is like, America demoralizes you. It kind of dangles the carrot of the American dream in front of you, but you're close enough to smell it, but never actually close enough to touch it. And one of the things that I have noticed, and part of the black exceptionalism, I'm gonna say this as an African, the white power structure actually uses Africans to dismiss African American concerns. And what I mean by that is, again, because of said hunger, because of said family structure, and the small advantages that we do have, we come over here and we become doctors and lawyers. And white supremacy points at us and says, you see, black people are actually doing well in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And it dismisses the actual systemic and the actual structural issues that have plagued our African American brothers and sisters for 400 damn years. And it absolves white people and whites, when I say white people, I mean like the structure, globally from having to address some of the issues, having to address reparations, having to address the prison industrial complex, having to address the PTSD it's inflicted on our brothers and sisters, because it'll show brothers like me, look at Alan, or look at Ahmed, or whatever the case may be. They're black too. And it's like, they suffered colonialism. We suffered colonialism, that's different. What y'all have suffered here is structural, it's pervasive, it's insidious, and it builds on itself. And it's easy for it to seem like, well, you should be able to do because there is the opportunity available. But the almost kind of the small details that have been put in place to make sure, and when I say small details, I'm including hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm including social media. I'm including the things that make sure that we continue to perpetuate our own dysfunction. We completely throw that to the side and just focus on the fact that if they can do it, we can do it. And it's like, even though that's true, and when I'm amongst black men or I'm amongst black boys, I'm telling them, yeah, you can do it. But the reality is there's some specific hurdles put in, not just in your DNA, right, with epigenetics and things like that, but put in structurally to trip you up. And you'll hear like the people who make the distinction between FBA and non-FBA, they'll tell you like, yo, certain places have a preference for an African name over an African American sounding name. That matters too. You see what I'm saying? That matters too. But it's much more complex than, Africans just, just work harder or they want it more. It's not that simple.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Brown. He says, thank you for addressing how they utilize Africans against us. This shows transparency and honesty. Appreciate this.
Salute.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Brown. So do you see that in going back to the Pearly, the My Africans, and I want to bring my Africans back to the States. Is that what you would see as maybe still using Africans against African Americans here?
I think the part where she was talking about how much harder working Africans are than African Americans, I think that's definitely that. But I think, with Pearl, and the reason why I was disappointed to see that most of us spent the most time talking about her. Jane Elliott, another white lady, but she's a white lady who studies race relations in this country. She said that if you are a white person in this country who went through the K through 12 system, you're indoctrinated with supremacist ideology. Whether you're a good person, whether you like it or not, from K through 12, all your history books, all the optics around you have reinforced the idea that anything worthwhile was established by white people and is maintained by white people. So whether you like it or not, you will harbor some supremacist ideology. Now, let's compound that with the fact that 80% of black people only live around other black people. 80% of white people only live around other white people. If you were to look at maps of how we live today, it's just as segregated, right, as it was in like the 50s. Because redlining, there again, going back to history, we have to look at the legacy of things and how it affects us today. The only time we're really, integrated is at work.
Yeah.
And that's barely the case because we eat lunch separately. The only time, even on Sunday, what's the joke? Sunday morning is one of the most segregated times in this. You know what I mean? Like, you go to any cafeteria in this country, the black kids over there, the white kids over there. I'm an advocate for, like, we need to lean into segregation. That's another conversation. But I say all that to say, most white people, I would even venture to say every white person, even the good ones, have some supremacist ideology. And we need to just accept that as a people. And we need to divorce ourselves of this witch hunt, because I think it's a waste of energy. Like I said before, whether or not Pearl is racist doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
But the benefits that she enjoys compared to her black female counterparts is part of racism, right? The things that she's able to do and the ways that she's able to move and the way she's, for instance, able to infiltrate our community is a consequence of a systemic racism problem. And I think that's where our energy needs to go. That's where our thought and our conversations need to go, because whether or not she cares about black people, it's only between her and God at the end of the day. And I don't care. As a black man, I could give a damn, because it's not going to improve the lives of my children or their children.
Yeah. Since I got you. So what has been your biggest takeaway? Because like I said, I'm closing the pearly gates is gonna be closed after the night.
Yeah.
Unless something just happened, just egregious. Then I'm just like, all right, but
The next stream will be This Side of Heaven.
Because
we're closing them out. Yeah, we're closing them out. Yeah.
In This Side of Heaven. So what has been with these past couple of weeks and what you've seen and what you've done on your page? I know we've talked about maybe the people, but what has been to you the biggest issue that we probably need to tackle that this Pearly thing unmasked?
Exposed? I'm trying to use the N-word less. This is what I say. We care more about entertainment than progress. That's what it's unmasked for me. We care so much more about entertainment than progress. We care more about optics than progress, right? And then also, like I posted the other day, I'm like, yo, the reason why y'all made people like Pearl famous is the same reason why you guys complain that women always prefer the Pookies and the Ray Rays. They're exciting. They're entertaining. Now, are their lifestyles sustainable? Are they healthy? Are they nutrients or just empty calories? So the same reason why certain people or certain platforms are blowing up is the same reason why some of our unhealthy sisters are going towards certain types of men. So to me, it showed that we're a lot more alike than we think. We're a lot more like the people that we complain about or we spend the most time complaining about than we think. I can't tell you how many times the women that I've interviewed will show me DMs of men in there, men ready to sell their house just to get a whiff of her perfume. And I'm like, how can we get on the internet and talk all this shit about women feeling entitled and women not wanting a good man and women wanting you to pay this much and that much and the whole nine? And like, I turn around after interviewing this quote unquote misbehaved woman, because you'll tell me in the comments, but she's got 15 DMs just because she got a fat ass or just because she's pretty. So it's like, yo, we, as much as we like to divorce ourselves from the problem, the women are the problem, we fuel the problem. We create the problem as fathers. We incentivize the problem as simps, and we fuel the problem. Like, and we have to address our part in that, and not just, like I said before, addressing the problem.
Yeah. Let me play this for you. I thought this was interesting. I think I saw B. Taylor in the chat, but this is a clip of her.
Right? It will grow your audience faster. I get that. But the audience that you build, that matters. That matters. That's why I don't allow certain language on my platform, because I don't want to attract a certain subscriber group. I don't like using the word pick me, mammies. I don't like making fun of black men and their sexuality, because there are gay men out here, gay black men out here that I respect.
So I don't use that type of language. You know, I don't like that type of language. I like to hopefully bring on, I'm calling in my tribe who can have a respectful conversation with one another. I really do. Thank you, Crew Season. I really do appreciate that. But you got to understand, like, you got to know your worth in business. This is why you don't see me on these platforms. I know if I went on a platform, I would be able to just drive up my subscriber count. But it's not going to be worth it because my sanity is gone, my mental health is declining, and you got to understand that when you show up online, your personality, it needs to show, and it can't show if you're depressed, your mental health is taking a hit. So you got to guard your mind. You got to guard your mental health. You can't just expose yourself to everything.
Let me tell you, honey, that what you're saying is resonating with me so hard because, you know, I think it is dangerous to listen to some of these platforms and you're a single mom because the stuff that they say and the way they tell you you're just a pump and dump, they'll come on my page and comment the most hateful, like probably for the past several months, I've been getting, you're nothing but a pump and dump. Your child's a bastard. Da 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 da. Like whatever. They're talking about me so bad, and it just makes me like look at myself like I'm the worst mother in the world because like I failed my kids. I'm horrible. There's no hope. Like you start like it starts getting in your subconscious. You know, like you're just like this horrible person, and somebody who's like not mentally well, they could think about hurting themselves or, you know, or running off from their kids because they feel like they're just this big failure that they're labeling them. They may just run off and do something, you know?
So, Alan, you still there?
Yeah,
okay. So what responsibilities do we have as content creators as far as our message, and should we be held accountable for our message?
You know, I got to give you a nuanced answer. The short answer is yes. Like, we should be held accountable. But I think, you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that we also have to talk about demand, right? Like, you know, me and you talked about this the other day. Like, artists aren't doing albums anymore because albums don't sell. People want singles, right? Like, people don't care about music. Like, and this is the thing that, like, we're talking about AI and chat GPT and shit like that, but the reality is, like, our talents are being gentrified, right? If you type in neo soul right now on Spotify, you'll see a bunch of white men, and they could sing their ass off too. You know, you're gonna see Yebba, you're gonna see Tom Missich, you're gonna see, like, we need to realize that while we've been squandering our talents, they've been studying, they've been learning, right? But in our community, we are overly concerned with cheap thrills. And again, like I said earlier with men and women, like, it incentivizes more cheap thrills. So yeah, as much as I think, you know, the artists, the content creators should be responsible with their message, the reality is most people are human. Most people don't have the, you know, intellectual or, you know, the principle to withstand pressure and demand. So I think as a community, we need to check our demand. We need to check what we are paying the most attention to, right? Even on a small scale, what streams are you consuming? If Lapeef Network continues to have more people viewing than a Dr. Tiasan Johnson, instead of a Institute for Black Male Studies in 10 years, what are you gonna have? A syndicated Lapeef Network. That's what you're gonna have, right? So we have to take responsibility as well. The 1.2 thousand people who watch Lapeef every Thursday to watch grown people bicker, they need to take responsibility, because whatever is in Lapeef's heart or whatever is in the panelist's heart, at the end of the day, they're gonna put on their costume. If I was being petty, they'll paint on their clown makeup, and they're gonna go on the internet, and they're gonna act an ass because that's what people want to see.
Yeah.
I hope we see more creators with the understanding, with the conscience, with the responsibility, with their art and with their delivery. But unfortunately, right now, the overwhelming message is that we want to see you show your ass, and we will pay and reward you handsomely for doing so.
Yeah. Your response to this. I understand why people like Anton Angerman and Chantel either support Pearly or won't say anything. The scandal is going to go away. Pearly will continue to get bigger.
Mm-hmm.
They could use Pearl to help their subscribers. Well, if Pearly is using my Africans, why not me try to use her to get a bigger platform?
Right. Well, two things. I think number one, like I was saying, how men are nihilistic. I think generally our community is nihilistic.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people in our community have given up on any future where we're not sucking on the tit of white supremacy, right? So it's like, you know what? Fuck it. I might as well get what I can get. I might as well do for self. And what they don't understand is that it perpetuates the cycle, because then you're going to have selfish-ass children who only care about themselves, and eventually they're going to be isolated, and when you're isolated, you're in harm's way, you're in danger, right? No man's an island. But they don't have the foresight to think that far. They just think about today, because a lot of us, even some of us with money, and I talk about this even with Nigerians, a lot of us are unable to remove ourselves from a scarcity mindset. Like a lot of us, even with the external look of success, we are still stuck in the mindset of dog eat dog, the mindset of, there's not enough to go around, the mindset of it's gotta be only me. Whether it's gotta be only me, the only black face in my company, only me, the only successful person on this block, the only successful black person in this neighborhood. And, I think that's why people, unfortunately, are going to still gravitate towards Pearl. But I think on the other side, too, we are people of soul. We are people who love rhythm, beats, and shit like that. Like, we prioritize entertainment. Mm-hmm. We think shit is sweet. Everything is a joke. And unfortunately, a lot of people have said it in my comment section, Pearl is successful because she's entertaining.
Yeah.
I've pushed back and said her entertainment is cheap. Unfortunately, a lot of us can't make that distinction. So, yeah, Chantel isn't going to fuck up her potential bag. Anton isn't going to fuck up his potential bag. I would encourage those people to think about the outcomes. Mm-hmm. I would encourage those people to think about what happens, just like I was saying with AI, what happens when they no longer need you to rap this song. When they no longer need you to play this part, what happens then, right?
Yeah.
Because what's happening with AI, as an example, is now you can program AI not just to write a rap, but also to rap it back to you in the voice of your favorite rapper. And your favorite rapper, for instance, like Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, they can't do anything about it because you can't copyright a voice. So black people, our rhythm is going to become obsolete if we don't value it for ourselves. Because if we're just going to kowtow to whatever white people want and tap dance however fast they want us to tap dance, at some point they won't need us to. They'll replace us with a robot to entertain them. They'll replace us with ChatGPT to sit on their panels, right? And at that point, the money flow stops. But again, most of us don't think that far ahead.
Yeah. So we've closing the pearly gates and now we're on the other side. What does that look like to you?
I want black people to understand what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, for instance, people ask me, how are you able to have so much patience during the conversations you're having with women? And the simple answer is because I know that they're not the problem. The simple answer is that I have enough knowledge, not just of self, and I'm not saying I know everything. There are a lot of things I don't know, and I'm still learning every day. And even some things that, I'm willing to be wrong on, but we have to prioritize understanding the context in which we operate.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding that, how many people are watching this right now?
418.
418. That is a lot of fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
There is power in that, right? If I say the wrong thing, we are going to be on some list. There is power in that, right? And we need to understand that if we're not consolidating said power internationally for productive means, we're wasting our time.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope what comes out of this is that Black people prioritize Black people. Black people have empathy for Black people, and Black people fuel Black progress instead of remaining reliant on white mediocrity.
You asking for a lot. We can't even get on one accord with being on code. What does on code mean to you? Because I'm big on code, be on code.
Mm-hmm.
What is that to you?
Closed door conversations.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes people say on code, like, we should excuse our bullshit. No, we have bullshit, and we need to be able to address said bullshit, but we don't do it outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
On code means being able to speak to the nuance of things. On code means that when I close my eyes, you shouldn't sound like a white supremacist to me. That's on code, right? On code doesn't necessarily...
White supremacy got a black face now.
Facts. Like on code doesn't mean that you agree with everything in the community. You think that the community is perfect. No, on code means that you commit yourself in whatever little way, whatever minute way, whether it's with your patronage, whether it's with your attention, because social media has proved that attention is currency.
Mm-hmm.
You commit yourself to fueling a future where your children, whether you divest or whether you save yourself, your Black ass children will no longer have to rely on a system that wants to use them as fodder, on a system that is literally built. And this is why I have the larger, global Pan-African conversation. This current system is built on Black exploitation. Whether you're talking about the prison industrial complex here, or whether you're talking about child labor in the Congo to mine coltan to power your phones. We are built on burning Black bodies to keep this thing moving. I want to see a world where they find something else to burn. Find somebody else to do it. Find somebody else to do it. But right now, the system is built on our own exploitation. And I'm hoping that, just like I realized that if it wasn't for one or two things happening differently, I'd be a completely different person. Yeah. I hope that we can we can begin to see each other that same way and be like, yo, I could have been Pookie. I could have been Pookie too. I could have been Ray Ray. You know what I mean? I could have been this divester. And I think if we can just do that piece, it'll be a snowball effect.
Yeah. I think I agree. And I look at it because I know that you was in a conversation when someone was saying, they're better than someone else and the better. And I'm like, we've made better decisions on certain things, but you're one mistake away from being a Pookie. You are not even your mistake. Being around someone that's making a mistake can cause you a lot. So no one is better than anyone. I'm no better than anyone in the chat, but decision making is important, but I'm no better. And I could be on this space and looking at the Cynthia G's and then looking at the B Taylors when she was on Yanni, and I can see how things can flip and I can see how things can change where someone can be this and then they get themselves people in their ear and
Yeah.
continuously listening to negativity about themselves, and it turns them wrong. And so I've always said, man, you need to be careful of what you intake, careful of what you're seeing, careful of what you're eating. But how does one differentiate? How do I know that I don't need to be partaking in this? I mean, how does
Right.
someone, and I think that's even with you and your post on the community tab and stuff, it's like you getting like, who is this and hitting this and da 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 da. And it's like, people don't see sometimes what you see. Sometimes I'll be like, what that? Y'all can't see the shit? Why do I have to put it in a video? Be on there for 3 hours to show you, and people still don't get it. How does one supposed to get it? And are we even getting it?
Right.
I know I said a lot.
I'll start with this. I want to shout out B. Taylor. She and I had I did a 5-hour stream with her. I think she was on for 3 or 4 of those hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be completely honest. And I hope she can be honest too. She didn't come on that stream in good faith, right? She part of her came on that stream thinking that I would be just another manosphere nigga ready to tell her all the ways that she's wrong. And she came in with that defensiveness, right? She came in with that wall. And, as the tactician that I am, I despite the fact that I was frustrated, right? Because people who know me for real, like, I played off well, but, like, I was frustrated. I was like, man, I ain't even say nothing to you yet. I'm glad we stayed the course. And what it taught me is that despite some of the resistance, despite some of the defensiveness, a lot of our women, for instance, care, right? It's just some shit you have to swim through real quick. And I'm not saying you should, commit yourself to dealing with bullshit or whatever the case may be. But from a community standpoint, not an interpersonal standpoint, from a community standpoint, we have to resign ourselves, to the optics of being patient with one another, right? Because just despite the fact that I was annoyed, like, her defensiveness was coming from a place. Mm-hmm. And just like the video you showed, she's articulated that place. I could either remain in, well, it's not fair to me because I haven't done nothing to you, or I could see and be like, okay, I understand. And the fact that you kept coming back shows me that you're not beyond reproach, right? Because at the end of the day, and I'm saying this to the fellas, all our women want, whether it's women you're dealing with, like, in your personal life, romantically, whatever the case may be, all black women want from black men is to know that, we got their back. And that understanding alone, I think, could go a long way. But right now, they don't feel that. And I can make the argument that they don't want to feel that. Like, I could do that.
Yeah.
But, like, we have to commit ourselves to, like, creating that level of, like, space and grace for one another if we hope for this thing to change. But on the flip side, ladies, the wall, the defensiveness, the dismissiveness, the low-key superiority complex, I think Kevin Samuels would call it the low-boiling contempt. Mm-hmm. It is very discouraging for men. It is very discouraging for boys. And I don't think women understand how much their belief in us, and not just belief on some, like, we march when y'all die type shit, but, like, their belief in us fuels who we become. Like, like I talk about dudes right now growing struggle beards. You can see my shit. Struggling. Women prefer that shit. You see what I'm saying? Women, I don't, even though I might not like it. You see what I'm saying? Even though I might not like it, like, women prefer that shit to, like, the clean baby face. And now every dude is growing his beard or trying to grow his beard. Right? So women have to, as much as men have to commit ourselves to some level of grace, at least on the macro, women need to commit themselves to some level of, like, belief.
Yeah.
Right? And weaponizing in a positive way you guys' power over us. Because just like I was saying with the dudes who be in the DMs of the women that I interview, even the ones they claim they don't like, they be in their DMs and I see them. Right? So if we can both do that, and I think that happens if we are properly politically and historically educated, so we can understand what it is that we're actually doing. We can understand that this isn't just a stream. This is like back in the day, to get 400 people in a room, like that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
To get 1,000 people, that's not an easy thing to do. And if we can start taking that seriously, whether it's on the internet or whether it's in person, I think we can go a long way, man.
I do too. You know, I think when you talk about, you know, that men do need to hear and it's inspirational, I think we both do. I always talk about the John Boyegas and the, you know, I love black women. Man, it feels good to hear it.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because I don't think either of us, this gender war and us fighting, it gives the idea and the propaganda, it gives the idea that we don't want each other, even though we say, well, you know, statistically, 83% of black men is going to be with black women. Yes, stats, but it's hearing it. And it encourages me when I do hear a black man say, you know what, black women are beautiful and I'm not giving up on you guys. And it's like, I ain't giving up on your ass either, Bill. You know, it feels good. It makes me want to fight.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're missing with all the critiques and with all the stats that we do. We forget that with criticism, it should be an air of love in that. With the shaming, and you want to shame, but it has to be something of love. I'm saying this because I love you. I'm saying this because I want you. But we don't say that enough. And I think with my platform, I want to make it known that this is out of love. And if you ain't over here loving on us, then get your punk ass out.
And you know, to be fair, that's something that's something I struggled with because I'm I don't want to hear shit, just show me type of person. And I think most men are that way. Like, you know, most men's top 2 love languages are like physical touch and like, I know mine is physical touch, acts of service, right? Some men maybe it's quality time or whatever. But most women I found in my research is words of affirmation and quality time.
Yeah.
And I think that really speaks to what women prioritize. And myself, even as a black man, I haven't done a good enough job like verbally articulating, yo, I love you, I need you, you're important, I'm willing to fight for you and all that good stuff. And I think as black men, we could definitely do a better job at that. And vice versa as well. Right? I think women really underestimate how their belief or lack of belief in us affects our disposition, right? Like we can talk about like kids, but especially men. Like I saw one video on Instagram. It was some fragile old white dude chopping wood, well, trying to chop wood. And there was a little woman's voice in the background. She was like, oh, my strong man. Look at my strong man. He didn't chop not a one. Lady? Yes, he didn't chop not a one piece of wood, but she just was she was his cheerleader.
Yeah.
She was his I think the fact that we've changed the paradigm from you're my cheerleader to you're my defender. I don't think a lot of women understand how inherently emasculating that is for men.
Well, okay, we'll talk about that. And do you want to take a call or two? I don't know if you.
Sure. I got time for you.
For a couple of times. But
today I got time.
Because, you know, you have, and there's a lot of people that say, you know, I defend the black man and I'm going to speak up for the black man. And I'm like, the black man can speak up for his damn self. So, I mean, but then there are men that are Crimson Cure. I was some show and I was looking in her chat and there was men in her chat saying Crimson's gonna get him. You just wait. If Crimson hears about this, she's gonna be all on it. She's gonna get him. And I'm like, why is men in the comments saying Crimson is gonna get him?
Encouraging girl fights.
And I'm like, it's counterproductive, it's hypocritical, and this is not what we need. Like, we could have women that have a voice, okay, but men, you're gonna like an attack dog. And it is still a lot of men in the space that are wanting women leadership.
Okay, let's start with the grace, and we'll walk our way back. Most men, unfortunately, and I think white supremacy is one reason, but I think some other reasons exist. Most men aren't introduced to a male authority figure until college. Most black men, in particular, aren't introduced to a male authority figure until college. The single mom. Some dudes don't even have any uncles, right? Or their uncles are bums. The teachers are all women, more specifically white women. That's another conversation. We can go there sometime.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
From kindergarten, preschool, all the way into college. Some men don't even get male professors in college. Or if they do get a male professor, it's a white man, right? So we have to talk about like the optics of authority for a lot of black men is a woman, more specifically a black woman, right? So we have black boys who don't think becoming a man is a worthwhile endeavor. And we have black women or black girls who grow up thinking that they are better suited to step into that role than their male counterparts.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to start there. But I think unfortunately, in the West, for instance, there are very few rites of passage for men, right? Like back in the day, you had to do some shit. You got to survive in the wilderness or some shit before you are accepted into the ranks of men, or you got to enlist in a war or whatever. But these days, you know, you are 6 foot tall with a beard. For all intents and purposes, you're a man. And because of the things I said earlier, a lot of people, just like I said, are only phenotypically black. A lot of people are only phenotypically male.
Yeah.
But for all intents and purposes, they're a woman.
Jeez, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah. So they're entertained by the same female mess that their moms were entertained by. Right? They view the world through the same female lens that their mom views the world through. So instead of men being the cool to women's hot, men being the calm and the order to a woman's chaos, a lot of men are thinking that a chaotic nature is where I am best suited because that's what women do. But unfortunately, I think that's what leads to men hyping women up to fight each other as opposed to breaking it apart like we're supposed to.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate, man.
Yeah. I see it. I be peeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I dropped the link for anyone that wants to come up and say a little something before we, head out. I'm not going to keep you too long, but I appreciate you. And I'm glad for the conversation. I'm actually happy that all this happened. Because I think it needed to be a separation. Things need to change. Yeah. And I'm happy for it. So I see a couple people. I see you, Better You. Can you guys, do y'all mind camming up? Better You, I know you be at the job, so you get a pass. Good. You there? Okay, we'll bring
Hello?
you.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you both doing this evening?
What's going on, brother?
You driving?
Doing good. I just want to say I'm catching the tail end of this stream. I'm just getting out of my frat meeting, but this is refreshing to see. I feel
frat, what frat?
there's only one, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
I see you, A5. Okay, go ahead.
But I feel like you made some great points. A lot of times in these spaces, Mr. Allen, like you were talking, it's easy to take the myopic view and kind of just end up with brothers and sisters just rhetorically punching each other in the face instead of looking up at the true structures that's putting you in those particular situations. And in a lot of ways, I do feel that a lot of what we have in terms of problems do go back to the breakdown of family, and that was something that isn't an accident. You talk about the lack of male figures. That's something that's really real. I'm blessed that I had a granddad, two granddads, father, uncles, all of them were strong men. But from an academic perspective, I didn't have a black teacher, a black male teacher that wasn't a gym teacher until I recently completed my master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in school for literally like 20 years. Never saw a black male teacher before that.
Damn. I didn't, I don't just thinking about me growing up as far as in school and even looking at teachers, but there's not any male leadership in our institutions. Do you think there's a reason for that?
I think partially. It's one of two things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people will look at it and say, well, you know, like take education, for instance. Well, there's a lot of females in education. There's a lot more black women in education than black men. And some people would take a look at it and say, like, okay, well, what are those black females doing for our black boys? And I feel like there's another step that has to be taken to then ask, like, what can be done?
Mm-hmm.
Because certain supremacist power systems are not going to let you do certain things. You might have every intention to uplift and better the conditioned environment of your people, but you're fighting against certain structures, and it's not as easy as how we can make it sound.
Yeah. I hear you. Alan, you got anything? Because I'm gonna bring somebody else up.
Well, so, the first thing is, generally men tend to not study humanity. So most men are not interested in being teachers. That's true with white men. That's true with black men as well, especially black men, being so severely emasculated throughout history. But for me, I think I saw somebody say I didn't see a black authority figure until I was in my 30s. Like, I think that's the bigger thing, because men are still going to prioritize, STEM, more so than women. So you're going to have more female teachers just off top. But I think that's where the white supremacy context comes in, because, this context we operate in is threatened by a black man who, with some power, right? And that's why it'll either attempt to feminize said black man, or it'll attempt to have that black man identify with it, or it'll just eliminate that black man. So I think we, as a people, need to be conscious of that so we can better insulate our potential leaders and our potential revolutionaries.
I said the revolution will not be televised. It's apparently
it's gonna be on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
It's gonna be on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
That's right.
Could I bounce a quick question off of you?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. I'm gonna bring somebody else.
One thing that I notice a lot of times, this is more so in the political arena, is you will have somebody who comes in or that rises up as a particular candidate. They're talking one way, and it seems like as simple as just one term, they become a part of the machine. Like, why do you think that is?
I'll use Nigeria as an example. Maybe there's some overlap here. But Nigeria is our current system is one that fosters corruption. Like, the average Nigerian is corrupt. And I'm talking about from the bottom up. And what I mean by that is it's not necessarily corrupt because we are bad people, but it's because of the situation that we operate in is one that prioritizes self. So for instance, let's say there was a Nigerian politician who had the best interests of the country and the people at heart. And he resigned himself to not, embezzling money like other politicians. He resigned himself to, doing things by the book. Two things would happen. Number one, his fellow politicians are going to try to blackmail him or eliminate him because his goodness makes them look extra bad. Number two, when he comes back home, whether to his wife or even his mother, his father back in the village, they're going to ask him for their slice of, we call it the national cake. The national cake being the embezzled, misappropriated funds that a lot of our politicians have access to. So if you are somebody who wants to, quote unquote, do the right thing, you will either be corrupted by your peers or your family. And it's so bad that there's really no out unless maybe you're aligned with some white people overseas. I say all that to say, we have to, instead of focusing on individual saviors, we have to put systems in place. Systems not just to keep people honest, but to reward people and insulate people for their honesty. But right now, the way that things are, and I believe also in the American system, it's about lobbying, right? So it's about who funded your campaign. And even if you're president or you're the congressman or whatever the case may be, you're indebted to Mr. XYZ from this company who gave you $2 million during your campaign. And if you don't do what he says, you might self-delete and be found somewhere that you're not supposed to be. So, yeah, we need to focus on systems and infrastructure.
Great. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. And to be clear, I don't have all the answers, Sway. I just have questions and I have thoughts, and I'm still growing, I'm still learning. But yeah, just like Martin Luther King said, I have no martyr syndrome. I don't want to die. I don't want to. And that's the other thing. Like, I think we also need to divorce ourselves from pedestalizing black men for dying. That's the other thing. We need to divorce ourselves from pedestalizing black men for dying. Like, we need to celebrate black men who live and who do good things while they're alive. Instead of black men who, they went out guns blazing and shit like that. Like, because that's not sustainable for long-term progress.
Yeah, I like that. All right, I'm going to bring somebody up now. This man has a big platform, but he's on the other side of YouTube. More of hip-hop and music. What up, Sandy? Hi, Doc.
What's up, Ooh, look at you. Looking so sweet as ever. All right, boys in the hood. My side of, my side of the tracks. Okay. Hey, look, that's two of the reasons I'll be rocking this White Sox hat, amongst other things, because one, I can't wear it in public because we'll be in trouble. But either way I go. What's going on? Alan, what's going on, man?
Salute, brother. What's good, bro?
How you been? I ain't supposed to do in a minute, man.
Chilling, man. Shit, I'm still waiting on you, man. We supposed to.
Hey, listen,
to get you on that couch.
I can't wait, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Let's do it.
But what's interesting is the teacher aspect of everything. I actually had a chance in elementary, and I'm not saying I'm the norm. I'm just saying I'm the rule or exception, where we had like black teachers, and they was on some pro-black stuff. I mean, truly some pro-black stuff. Mr. Thompson and Mr. Knighton. Funny part is they both went on to be principals. So I kind of think that's a little, interesting because, teachers don't really get paid anything. And the ones who kind of make a decent living are the ones who have it in their contracts to actually go to school every year, and then the school actually pay for it. And that's how they increase as far as California goes. That's what I know. Because they have 401(b)s. They contracts are structured a little bit. I know a lot about insurance, man, many times sometimes. But I got a curious question that I posed to both of y'all, right? I've been on this and it's gonna sound a little messed up if you hear it the way I'm saying it, but if I explain it the right way, you'll understand. I've been on some go after the religious institutions to bring in jobs. From the standpoint of, I don't know if whatever religion you believe in, either you're Muslim, Christian, whatever, Jesus Christ had a job. He was a carpenter.
He did work.
You see what I'm saying? I got a lot of family members that came out the penitentiary. I avoided it, fortunately. And when they came home, they was hitting the church. You know, Easter's on Sunday. I can guarantee you, there's going to be a whole lot of men in there with their pink and green on, lime green and nice little button downs and everything like that, where they're going to be in there. But I posed this question to a pastor. I said, well, I had jobs. So I'll be curious, what do y'all think about the religious institutions bringing in like actual, because they have the money to bring in certain people to do jobs and stuff like that, to have actual classes and stuff?
Well, I do know that, I mean, the Black church has always been our pinnacle in the community. It was always the, you know, the center of, on Sundays, we all get the family together and we go all eat. And so it's always been that. But to be honest, I see it dissipating as well too, as far as, especially like with Black women are now becoming with the sage and, for me, witchery and sorcery. So I see that the Black church has been, it's splitting up, where the Black church isn't powerful anymore. So it doesn't have a stand. So I think, yeah, people should be, and I know my church helps with jobs and help putting resume together, getting jobs together. We have a prison ministry, but I don't think people believe in the church anymore at all. And I think it's interesting because, I mean, Black folks was known, especially in the South, for being so church-oriented, very conservative. And our conservatism came from being underneath, I guess, the Bible Belt. But I don't see people doing that anymore, or going to church, or even caring. And I am seeing like pastors or people, like we've been talking about with content creators. Pastors are just getting a feel-good message, not helping to get a dollar. So I don't know. I think people have lost faith in it. So if they've lost faith in it and people ain't going, who they gonna give jobs to? Definitely ain't having a lot of Black men going up in the church anymore.
But isn't that the power of prayer? I mean, if you believe in something, that means really you ain't seen it. It's knowing and believing in two completely different things. So you know the old adage, you know, you're old enough to remember this phrase: if you build it, they'll come. So I think it's interesting that we could take a successful business that is church, that is a mosque, and implement it into the hood like a liquor store. And instead of feeding our souls with endorphins of what liquor can do to us, we do it with quote unquote scripture and motivational speeches every Sunday. So I would ask you this: when the last time you've been to church, though?
Me? 2 weeks ago.
What was the sermon about? I'm not saying I don't believe you.
Oh,
I know you ain't gonna lie to me. We ain't gonna have that.
I'm not gonna lie. What was the service about? Don't, I mean, it's in my church notes, but it was something about some trees. Don't have me get the line. I can't think about it right now. But I went to church a couple weeks ago. I didn't go the past 2 Sundays. I am going this Sunday, obviously, for Easter, but I go besides that. But I don't know. I don't remember what the service was about.
Alan, I pose a question to you as well. How do you feel about church bringing jobs in?
Man. So, you know, Courtney mentioned one of the projects I'm working on called Brain Drain, but there's another one I'm working on called Christian by Default. And whenever people ask me, like, what's my religious affiliation, that's the most honest answer I could come up with. I'm Christian by default. I'm Christian because my parents were. I'm Christian because I grew up in the church. But I also see the bullshit. I remember there was a comedian, I think it was Eddie Griffith, or Griffin. He said, you know, white people convinced us to get on our knees and close our eyes so they could rob us blind, right? Like a lot of our concepts of organized religion is rooted in exploitation. So even to your point, I don't know if actually giving back outside of optics and, taking pictures and being like, yo, this church gives back. I don't know if we're interested in it as the church. But I think on the flip side, to play God's advocate a little bit, Black people need therapy. We need fucking intervention. And I say that because we are really hard people to help, especially if you're a Black person trying to help a Black person, because we have that competitive spirit of like, who this nigga think he is? Right? You're not better than me. So I would submit that in as much as, churches and pastors could do better advocating for instance, like our brothers and sisters coming back from prison or providing opportunities for them. I don't know if those men, the majority of them, are in the right mindset to receive that type of help and to maintain those types of opportunities, because a lot of them are suffering from PTSD. I think as a people, we just have underlying PTSD off top. We have underlying issues off top. And then we also have that crabs in a barrel mentality off top. And I think if we don't address that, we're going to continue to disincentivize Black people who can help Black people, because they're going to be frustrated as hell. And then, the Black people who do need help, they're just going to continue thinking that, yeah, nobody gives a shit about us and the bourgeoisie don't give a shit about us, when it's like both things are working against one another.
Yeah.
But see, where I would kind of push back a little bit is this, right? We have churches in prison. And we have a prison to church pipeline. The same way when you get in the halfway house, you have to have a job and certain things like that and return yourself right there. The thing is it's hard for me to believe in Jesus when the bills is right there and drugs is right there as well. When my bills is due, I ain't got my woman, I ain't got nothing like that. I understand that part. And there is a level of where people got to look at church as a hospital. These are sick individuals coming to get spiritual healing. Now, me, myself, I ain't a Christian or nothing like that. I did grow up on. I practice Judaism, but I don't really care. Like, I throw the religion away if that meant going back to my Black people, helping them out kind of thing. The problem with a lot of people is we want to address the real issue sometimes is cats need some money. You want to save the rainforest, you got to buy it. Ain't no ain't gonna stand out and kumbaya and all that crap and everything like that. I know me saying I support something opposed to me putting money behind it, two completely different things. I can tell you all day, I support you, I support you, I support you. But if I don't throw no dollars behind it, no, I don't, because money is gonna make a mountain move. Here go TNT. But the thing that I would say is when we say crab in a barrel mentality, right? I think when we say that, we kind of got to fix that a little bit. More than likely, you go to a barber, your barber's Black. We put a lot of dollars into Black barbers every day. We put a lot of dollars into making sure that the youth go out and be these superstars of physical talents instead of ones of STEM. You see what I'm saying? We don't have the league of doctors. We don't have a league of lawyers and stuff like that, where we need to push these cats into doing certain things. In all candor, we need to get back into Operation Breadbasket. It's real simple. It's real simple fix is that you need some money. If I want some therapy and I come out of jail and stuff like that, I can get it from a pastor. Granted, he has to do certain things and certain things he don't have to do, but that's what they get paid for. They get paid to pick up that phone. They get paid to be that stress reliever, to talk you off that mountain when I'm having thoughts where I don't want to be here because it ain't never been about me. It's all about what I can do. And I wish one day somebody would stop and say, man, I appreciate everything you do. Let me take some time out of the day and give you something back, not in return, but in appreciation type of thing. You get what I'm saying? Just think we getting to this point. We've gotten to this point where it's like, here's the solution, but we never I don't go to no more gang intervention stuff. I don't go to a lot of stuff and everything like that. Like I'm a face in California. I'm a face in LA. I'm a face in Sacramento. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, every time we come out of stuff, we don't have a step 1, step 2, step 3. Anybody familiar with Operation Breadbasket is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, cool. For the people who don't know, essentially what that means is, and I've seen this happen a bunch of times when liquor stores are sold. When liquor store got sold where I grew up at for $1.5 million. This is like a corner of a corner store. And I'm looking like, how this happened? So essentially, Operation Breadbasket, for those who don't know, is hey, sit down, sit your butt down. Operation Breadbasket is where you seek out a business, you essentially count their traffic, count where they at and stuff like that. You're gonna talk to the owners about making donations into making an investment into the hood that help out the hood or your neighborhood in particular. And if they don't do it, protest them. Then eventually they'll capitulate. They capitulate, come back to the table, don't harbor no ill will, and then still hold them to the fire. Because a lot of times what we'll do is we'll elect a politician. Arkansas, they just elected an 18-year-old dude. Are that we gonna hold him to what we got them in there for? So it's all about making sure that continued structure, that continued investment is there. That's one of the worst things we did with, frankly, every damn politician, not just Obama. Black people been voting for a while. Black people, the reason why Biden's in there, specifically the ones in South Carolina. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, I get all that, but it's real simple if people be willing to put in the work, because we don't need our athletes, in my opinion, we don't need another Kaepernick. We need Kaepernick to be that individual who literally was $100 million quarterback. He shouldn't have been out there taking no knee. In my opinion, he should have been funding the fight that he wanted to fight. You would have had a lot more money and a lot more notoriety if you would have did this and did that. You could have did a celebrity appearance, stuff like that. People are doing this stupid crap where we say our morals, our morals, our morals. Man, I'm not having my kids go out there and march in the streets. I'm gonna have my kids go get that farm. We're gonna learn how to do this. We're gonna learn how to do that. That marching stuff, that's cool. But the dollars that's in politics, the stuff that we missing. You know, I hear a lot of blacks talking about Trump, but forget that when the first stimulus package came out, 500 million of that did not go to us, where they suspended affirmative action. And stupid black people say, oh, we don't need affirmative action. Yeah, you do, because affirmative action means with 17% of the population, you're going to put 17% of that 500 million into black businesses specifically. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. But, you know, I just read a little bit. That's what they tell me.
Hold on for a minute. Let me read this super chat. Thank you, Villain Trucker 26. I appreciate you so much. Counterpoint. I'm going to say, where's the black business owners to hire after the church invests in skills?
Where the black business owners go to the barbershops, start holding them accountable too. That's the only business you're going to see. Church is a business. Don't get it mixed up or confused. They take money at church. They take prayers and they take money.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Ms. Courtney Michelle?
Well, I think that I think we've lost focus on getting a skilled job as far as like plumbing, electrician, those type of skills that robots can't necessarily do. I think we need to focus on that, and especially like plumbing. I have my stepbrother is a plumber. Well, I call stepbrother, that's my brother, but he's a plumber. But he owns his own business, and he's able to hire people with felonies, with backgrounds, is able to do that. So I think we need to champion those type of men that have a skilled labor that can create their own business and hire on. So I champion that for sure.
So how do we go about doing that?
I'm going to take there's some more people in the back. I'm not going to be on here all night.
You know me. You know me.
I know you. Look,
you know me.
You want to? I'm gonna.
You want me to chill?
You want to? Yes, chill for
I'll chill. I'll chill with you.
Okay. Rozzy.
What's good, folk?
My God.
What's going on? It's my brother, man. This nigga be spitting. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. You get the floor.
What's going on?
I'm good, man. I'm good, dog. I'm good. I just want to come up here, man, and man, I just love the black love, baby. I just love this shit, baby. Feel real good, homie. It feel real good, man. Yeah, I remember you said that you just love to hear a black man just say, I love black woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Me, I love black woman, homie. I love black woman, homie. I love that shit, man. I'm telling you, man. When it comes to this space, right? I'm about sick of this shit, man. I'm about sick of all this shit.
Sick of the shit too.
I'm sick.
Sick of
I'm
the
sick
shit.
of it. I'm sick of it, man. It's the same thing, same conversation. I mean, niggas ain't grown yet, man. You played Cynthia G before, right?
Yeah.
I listened to Cynthia G. I used to be a subscriber of her channel. I used to be rinched up. You know what I mean? But I'm no longer rinched up no more. I'm no longer a subscriber, man. Like, you know, she ain't. I'm not here to bash her or anything, but I'm just ain't feeling the vibe, man.
Yeah.
If you're not for the black community, you ain't for black women. That's how I go. If you're not for the black community, you don't care about black men and women. You hear me?
I hear
That's
you.
how that go. And I just want to show y'all some love, man. I ain't gonna be long, man. Like, Alan, what's good, baby? What's good?
What's going on, King? What's good, my brother?
Yeah, man. You know what I mean? Courtney, man, I've been wanting to, I remember you showed up on Psychopathia's channel that day. I had came up.
I be scooting and peeping over there.
You be like you be watching from the clouds?
Oh, I'm usually in the clouds, and sometimes I just pop up, and so I just popped up on there. Is that the one where Jason Black was on there that night?
That joint. You gotta tell Alan to come through. Nick,
I'm gonna tell
we be
Alan to come through.
popping over that motherfucker, boy.
I got you. I got you.
I'll introduce him I'll introduce him to the clique.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's just good to get out this space, man. Like we should, just kick it around the black men who are for black women, man. We not looking it down. You put you down, try to make you feel bad, try hating on you.
Yeah.
We not with all that, man. You know what I mean? I'm not with all that, man.
I know.
I just want to see some positive energy, dog. That's it. I'm from Wilmington, Delaware. Where you from? You say you from Tennessee?
Yup. Nashville, baby. Cashville to the
Okay.
key.
All right, to the brother on here. Where you from, bruh?
You talking to me? You talking to Alan?
You.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you.
I'm from California.
Okay. Cali. Cali.
And when you say, love black women and stuff like that, I love this black woman right here. She know that. I wouldn't even be up here if I didn't. Well, I would just let that count the bag. Yeah, I fucks with her. I don't mess with a lot of people on here, but
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna. I love Courtney vibe, man. She bubbly and all that. Yeah, man. She seemed like a nice woman, man. If I first saw her on a Peef channel, I ain't feeling the vibe over there though. I left that motherfucker. I ain't. Whatever. I'm out. Anyway, I'm out. All right, Alan. All right, baby.
Yes, sir.
Courtney.
I'll see you, darling.
All
right. Bye.
Salute, brother.
That's funny because I seen your Alan channel.
Word. Wait. You saw her on my channel for the first time?
Yeah, when I seen her on your channel, and then I see O'Shea talk about it, and then I seen her on the Peef and everything. But she know what ultimately made me reach out to her was her going viral with that one lady about this is why black men are leaving and stuff like that. And I'm like, I ain't never heard no black woman speak like that ever.
Lord,
yeah, Courtney be spitting, man.
That'd be all right.
Courtney the GOAT, man.
All right, I'm gonna take a couple more calls. I see a couple in the back. Sadie, you want to stay on for one more? Is that cool?
You got it. Yeah, I came up here. Whenever I come up in certain places and stuff, I cut out a lot of things. So you straight. We good.
Okay. I am DPP. Man, I appreciate you so much.
Oh, appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
What do you got for us?
Hey, I don't normally do this, but
you don't ever call up.
I just got some things on my mind I need to talk about.
Okay.
First of all, Seth and Nash made a lot of good points. But I will say this: the church in general lost their direction.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but that's all I'm gonna say on that subject. But I gotta give Alan his props. I like the way he delivered his message. Put a lot of thought into it, and that's the type brother that's needed to deliver the message. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes it takes a someone who's well versed and articulated in the right way. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And now I do want to bring up a situation I found myself in because you guys touched on about male leadership. Now, I wasn't one of those guys that grew up without my father. I had my father in our household. That's another situation. But I joined the military at a young age. I was like 17 years old. And I will be honest with you. I left home when I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't prepared to be a man. I can admit it now. I was afraid. I was afraid of fucking up.
Mm.
I was afraid that my father's thoughts of myself was going to be correct. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, but in me joining the military, I was able to run into a lot of influential guys, a lot of black men, and even some white men that mentored me. They took me through that passage that we don't want to talk about. See, I think for the most part, a lot of the messages that's being delivered is being delivered wrong. When I'm saying they're being delivered wrong, every child, mainly the boys, need a father. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And because and I use my own situation as an example. Because me and my father strained relationship, you understand what I'm saying? You know, when a boy meet some people have said as young as 9, 10 years old, but I'm gonna say, 13 and on up. Boys need their guidance from their father until in their mid-20s. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because from a mentor standpoint, discipline is one thing, but then you got to roll into that mentorship, and that's what a lot of young men is missing. A lot of them are missing that, and to tell you the truth, and some guys, they taking on roles that they really ain't even prepared for. In my opinion, a young man he shouldn't make kids. He shouldn't even have a girl in his life if he can't even manage his own life.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because he ain't gonna do nothing but be a burden to that woman. He gonna hold her up. Now, about 18 months ago, I came to this epiphany because I'm in a male dominated field. I work as what you call a marine engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's majority of us is males. You see what I'm saying? And I came to this epiphany. I was like, as time go on, I'm gonna keep running into guys that never had a father in their life. And originally, I was of the take of I was looking at it, man. I'm not here to raise nobody. But I had to remind myself back when I was in the military. I was a sergeant when I got out. As a sergeant, you're not just a supervisor. You're a mentor. You're the babysitter.
Mm-hmm.
You control every aspect of their life, whether you want to or not. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even to how they function within a family, you have to be. And the military way of looking at it is, if you can make sure every part of their life is in function and order, that soldier's going to do a good job. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I came to that epiphany. I said, well, as I move up, I'm gonna have to step back into that role of being a sergeant. You understand what I'm saying? Whether I want to or not, because at the end of the day, when we on the ship and we working, I'm gonna need that man to be able to do that job. I'm gonna need him to be able to perform in that job. You see what I'm saying? So I end up buying this book. It's called The Boy Crisis, written by Warren Farrell. A lot of people need to read it.
The Boy Crisis.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
One of the things he brought up in that book, he brought up the direct correlation between, well, let me put this into perspective. Well, a lot of people don't know women got their right to vote in the early 1900s, right? But it's some stuff that was missing, even though they had a right to vote. In the 70s, they made it where women could start getting their own loans, their own lines of credit, so on and so forth. Because they was working, they've been working since, working in these different jobs since World War II. But they wasn't able to get their own lines of credit. So he pointed out where there was a direct correlation between women able to get their own lines of credit and the divorce rate in America. And the end result of that, the boys have been suffering. They forgot about the young men. So now he's talking about the context of what's been going on in white America.
Yeah.
Right? So at the same time, and this ain't to give one situation credit over the other, but at the same time that the black family being split up, the white family was too. You see what I'm saying?
I hear you.
It was just a different perspective. But the guy pointed out a lot of good information in that book. Like I said, I advise for a lot more people to actually read it and hear what he's saying, because they're looking at like what's going on with the changes in America right now, and women feeling like that. A lot of women are feeling like that men aren't being men. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But because I remember when a young guy asked me one time, he said, "How do you get a woman to respect you as a man?" I said, "First, you got to show her a man."
Well, all right. Well, look, I am DPP. I'm going to get some other calls and then I'm going to wrap up because I'm seeing that O'Shea is interviewing Sarah Garvey and I really want to pop and see that in. So let me wrap up. I appreciate you for popping up. I see you support and I'm grateful for you.
You're welcome. I'm going to check that book out too.
Yes.
Interesting.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
You too. Say that I'm dropping you because I'm about to wrap up. I'm going to take a couple other people from the back, but I'm going to wrap it up and we'll chit chat later.
I got you. I'll hit you in a minute.
All right. All right. I'm going to bring up the rest of the crew. Afro Discipline, how are you doing? JT, are you back there? And Timothy, I'm going to bring you guys up too. And I'm going to take, what you guys have to say. And then I'm going to wrap up because I'm going to go see this O'Shea. I didn't know he was premiering it right now. So JT, you there? Can you come up before you can, just so I know it's you, and Timothy, so I know it's you. There you go. Hey, all right. I'm going to pop you guys up. Timothy, I see you. All right, what you guys got for me?
Oh shoot. Can you hear me?
I can.
I'll make it quick because I don't want to take up your time. But
and I thank you for waiting. I know it's been a lot.
Yeah, no problem. But I just like to say I appreciate Alan for his content because he articulates what I'm thinking. Because I've been in the manosphere. I was here young, so I caught it like preteen, teenager, since Sergeant Willie Pete. And for some reason, like as it went on, like I started noticing like a lot of like anti, we're not gonna be pro-black, but we pro-black men. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And as I get older, I started realizing I didn't, as much as I listened to them, I really didn't follow a lot of stuff that they were saying and doing. It got to a point where like years later, when I started living with my wife, I was listening to Angry Man. She's like, that's why you're so angry. That's why you lashing out every 5 minutes. Because she's like, that's immaturity. She's like, he's too old to be that immature. And then I had to realize last year I had an epiphany. I'm like, I don't need this space anymore. And I'm disappointed because I grew up with it.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're growing up and dudes that are your father's age, your grandfather's age, who are supposed to teach you are just not growing.
Wow.
And it sounds like elementary. And that disappointed me. And even hearing BGS with that bull about, you know, trying to support, oh, well, she can tell. I'm like, well, you should have put that support behind Crimson Cure because she was one of the first people in the space. And that just disappoints me. There's a level of maturity that they have not reached. And I'm like, how is that possible? You being 40, 50, 60, and we still talking about women. Some of y'all are even married, so it negates that.
Listen, I have been trying to wonder that for the longest. How are you so mad and you married? Unless they're having a bad marriage, but maybe part of it's bad because you're on the internet. Get off and tend to your marriage.
Yeah, so that's why, like, I just appreciate the maturity in this space because I think a lot of brothers too are also missing the forest for the trees because it's not about Pearl, it's about your morals and value. And what it just sets in the stone is like that age-old tale. If you just dangle a white woman in front of a Negro, you gonna dance, and you just prove some of the divestors and some of the ladies who are on that other side right. So that's where that they're not fighting for Pearl. They have to understand they're fighting for their own image. You ruined your image by proving them right.
Man, JT, you came up here with that fire. I appreciate you, and you're absolutely right. And even in this space, I think it's a space that you're supposed to graduate from. You're not supposed to stay. Even when they say red pill raid, like you're supposed to graduate. It's supposed to be a level like you shouldn't be talking about the same thing for 5-10 years because there's something missing. If your life is the exact same way from 5 years ago, then there's a problem, and this space is not going to be the medicine to that problem. Actually, I think it can be sometimes it's been more harmful. So
yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you for popping up. Thank you. You did
appreciate you, brother.
Like that.
Thank you.
Oh, Alan, you sleep?
No, I'm here. I'm here. I was doing a lot of moving. So yeah, no, but I appreciate you, brother. You were on point for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Have
a good one.
Yes, sir.
All right. Timothy and Afro Discipline 88. What you got for us? Anyone?
No.
I can't hear you, baby.
Am I not coming through?
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. No, just the usual. You know, even though I don't totally.
It's going in and out, bro.
Yeah, you're going in and out.
Yeah, it's like.
Hey, hold on. Yeah. I might have to turn off the camera. Is that okay? I mean, you can tell I'm a black man, so I'm not supposed to.
Okay, no, you're fine. That's what you need. Hey, Queen.
Yeah, sorry. Is that better?
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, I appreciate what you guys do. You know, basic, you know, just keep doing what you're doing kind of thing. And I appreciate the conversations, even though myself, I'm not, you know, in a black relationship. I do want to see more of these conversations happen and see people within the community actually get together because that benefits me in the long run, benefits my offspring because they will be black. You see how dark I am, so there's no mistaking what they will be in this world. And again, I gotta salute you guys. Thank you.
No. Well, I appreciate you.
Brother.
Thank you. Nothing but love.
All right. Have a good night, y'all.
You too.
You too, man.
Timothy, are you there or no?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here. Can y'all hear me good?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
What's going on? How y'all doing? How you doing, Alan? How you doing?
Chilling,
I'm at work right now. I just walked outside. Yeah, I'm good. I'm at work right now. I just walked outside. I'm on a little 5-minute break. I just wanted to call up. I know I caught y'all earlier before I tuned back into the live stream. I was in and out of the back chat. But I just wanted to let you know, I don't agree with the Pearl situation and none of that. I don't believe a white woman should be speaking on anything about slavery at all. You know what I'm saying? So if and I am kind of actually surprised about a lot of brothers taking that stance with defending them. But you know what I'm saying? Niggas gonna be niggas, so I ain't even really stunting it like that. But what I also
niggas is gonna nig. Yep.
Yeah. But also I just wanted to and I do believe that you know what I'm saying, you about your people, Courtney. I believe that. I think that's where your heart is, and you know what I'm saying. But it's going back to the beef with you and Chantel from earlier. You was wrong for sending that super chat. If nobody gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you. You was wrong. You was wrong.
I told her that too, man.
That shit was wrong. That shit was wrong. Yeah, that shit was wrong. I mean,
Timothy, you shot at me first.
But what I'm saying is, do you think that was a proper response? Like, because to me, being pro-black is about unity. So to tell a woman, to tell another black woman that she's going
to. I don't want to be pro-black right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay if she do it. It's a problem when I do it.
No. But what I'm saying is, she never said she was pro-black. You claim to be pro-black.
Yeah.
But do you think Angela Davis or Coretta Scott King or Shahrazad Ali would have responded to somebody like that?
Maybe not in public.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I don't think, and you doing that just gives people who don't see you as, like Tommy said, people who see you as fake woke, that just gives them more ammunition.
Oh hell.
So it's not. I know Alan wasn't gonna call you for it, so I'm gonna just call you for it. You know what I'm saying? Because we gotta hold each other accountable.
Yes, sir.
And it's real rap, man. Yes, we gotta hold each other accountable. And I mean, like I wish you and Chantel could work it out. I do, because y'all both black women. Just even though Alan is Nigerian, Chantel is Jamaican, me and you both African American, we all are part of the black diaspora. And we all should be working together. All this ADOS versus FBA shit, I ain't with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's just what it is. I think you and Chantel and Six, all of y'all would be more powerful together than divided. But y'all gonna do what y'all want to do. So I'm not gonna come into that. I'm just trying to drop off the knowledge. Like, look, it ain't really a good look in front of people. I just want y'all to, you know what I'm saying, work on it, do better. But I appreciate you. I know your heart. I believe your heart is in the place for your people. I believe that.
Man, let me tell you something, okay? Because I know Alan agrees with you. Okay. Everybody, listen here, okay? I try, but sometimes I be getting pushed, okay?
I understand.
But sometimes it's like when I defend myself, then I got to be the bigger person. How come I can't? Why I always got to be the bigger person? Sometimes I get tired of getting picked on and multiple streams about the girl, and I be like again and again and again. Sometimes I'm a shooter.
But what I'm saying is, I understand, like, a lot of people like attack y'all do YouTube. So I know a lot of people gonna come at y'all. Like, I know people dox people and all this stuff. I know that. I don't really do panels. I ain't really a YouTube dude. I just tune into y'all from time to time. But I'm just saying, from the outside looking in, I just look at it. Y'all both need to chill out. I don't really know Chantel like that. And I don't know you like that. But all I know is what I see online. And all I see online is y'all going back and forth with each other. That's all I see.
I know. I don't.
My recommend is all flooded.
I don't want to go back and forth with nobody, Timothy.
All right, that's cool. But I'm just saying, if we gonna proclaim to be pro-black, we got to set the standard. And I don't think that's, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that's righteous. You know what I'm saying? Because if you a Christian, you got to act like a Christian. If you pro-black, you got to act pro-black. You can't be, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you're right.
But yeah.
Thank you.
But all right, but I just wanted to drop that knowledge out for y'all, man.
Alan, I'm dropping you. I'm done with you. Let's block them. All right. Thank you, Timothy. I appreciate you. You're right.
All right, one love, y'all. I appreciate y'all, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
Bye. Timothy want to
He's
come out
right.
here, want to be right.
Timothy was spitting.
Well, I'll do better.
You got to be Angela Davis out here. You know what I'm saying? We were calling you the manosphere sex symbol, but nah, you got to be Angela. You got to be Angela Davis, Coretta Scott. Yeah. So
Man,
Timothy is right.
I understand, and I can do better. I will be better.
Okay.
And I appreciate Timothy for holding me accountable, and you be trying. I'm not listening right now.
Yeah.
But okay, that is something that I can commit to, being better and stop being less. I'm not as petty as I really want to be.
I know.
Now, okay, I hold back a whole lot.
Oh yeah.
A whole lot.
Hell hath no fury, right?
Woo! Sometimes I just want to go live and cuss everybody out, but I maintain. I try.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, all right. Well, I am going to wrap it up. Alan, any last words? Or first of all, if y'all ain't subscribed to Alan, y'all slow. That page is amazing. But you're amazing.
Thank you. You're amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you.
The last thing I would say is we ain't got no choice. I don't like certain black people either. But we need each other. Unfortunately, we joke sometimes we won't really see world peace or world cooperation unless there's like an alien invasion. That's when we'll put aside racism and this and that. And when you study colonialism, that was our alien invasion. When you study Jim Crow and antebellum slavery and vagrancy laws, everything that happened to us, that was our alien invasion. And whether we like it or not, we have to galvanize for a greater purpose. We can bigger amongst ourselves afterwards, but I'm just hoping this has taught us that we all we got.
Yeah.
And that we all we need.
We all we got, we all we need. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate you as always. Are you going to do a stream this week, Friday?
Probably not. I don't feel like it.
Okay, there you go. Well, we'll catch you on the flip side.
I don't feel like it. All right. Yeah, I'll keep dropping videos though. So
Well, always. O'Shea got Sarah Garvey on right now, so I'm about to go through to see what they talking about. We'll see. But anyways,
I appreciate
I'm just gonna end it. Forget it, Alan.
All right.
It's been real. People in the chat, it has been real. Thank you. We have now the gates, the pearly gates, have now been closed.
Yeah, we're on this side of heaven. That's the next one.
This side of heaven is
that's the next one.
Is the revolution.
Yeah, that's right. That's the next stream. It's gonna be a series like church. This side of heaven, volume 1. we just gonna build on that. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll be in the chat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm looking forward
Let's
to
do
it.
it.
Feels good.
Let's do it. I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you. Love you, Alan.
Okay.